Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, looks like everything is in order. Let's share really quickly. On Twitter and LinkedIn, and let's get going with this. Well, yesterday, I was trying to practice unit testing, and I did off stream. During the stream, I was pretty much window shopping for courses, and I'm going to share with you which of the courses I actually got. Let me see, because I guess this is not, yeah, the shopping cart is empty because I already got the courses. Let me show you what I got. Okay. Recently enrolled. Okay. Give me a minute. Oh, what? Something happened. Okay, never mind. Okay, let's remove some distractions and the space on my desk. I really, after the stream, I'm going to basically clean up my desktop because it's a mess, to be honest. I even have SATA cables lying around here. If I'm not going to use them, why have them? Okay, okay, this is going to, yeah, this is useful. So yesterday I actually did coding practice. Let's see. So I wasn't just being lazy, but let me show you which courses did I got first. I was window shopping yesterday. I managed to stream that. So, but so this is one of the courses. Let me see. Up until I got these courses here, and I got these courses over here. So the one that I'm going to be start watching on the next streaming sessions is going to be specifically, what is it? This one. This one over here. This one is the one I'm going to be watching. It's a short course, I believe. It's not. Its name is Elegant Automation Frameworks with Python and Pytest. Let's take a look at it. And it's a short course. It's not really that long. It says it's 6 hours total. So in my estimation, I should be able to binge watch this entire course in a single sit. And probably less, because I'm planning to skip the things that I'm not really interested in, like installing Python. If that comes up, I'm not going to be watching that because I already had Python anyway. And well, that's the plan so far. Okay, I'm going to. I have a lot of stuff here I need to clean up. Okay. So where is my, oh, my wife stone.
Brandon Blair, and today we're going to talk very briefly about the automation framework. So if you are joining me...
Okay, who are you?
Okay, welcome. My name's...
Okay, little creepy.
Talk very briefly about the automation framework. So if you are joining me again, from one of my other courses, you've done a course from me before, then welcome back. Great to have you back. If you are new, then I'm really glad to have you, and I think we are going to give you some very powerful and useful skills. So why do I have a creepy doll on my presentation? Should probably be your
Yeah, it's quite creepy.
The answer is this is a what they call an automata or an automaton, right? That was built by a watchmaker in the mid 1700s. His name was Jacques Rose. Okay, and the reason I have him on my presentation, looking around creepily and writing, is because I'm fascinated by this automaton, and I think that a lot of the principles I use in terms of automation frameworks apply here as well. So you'll notice that the main function of this robot, aside from looking very elegant, is to write on a piece of paper.
Writing. It's actually writing.
And writing letters, right? Writing sentences.
What?
And if you take a closer look here, you can see that in his back, he's
oh my god,
cams, right? These small metal discs, which control everything from the movement of the arm to the letters that he writes. And those letters are actually replaceable, by the way. So this was built in 1768 to about early 1770s.
Wow.
It has something like 6,000 pieces, which is a lot of pieces. And if you've dealt with code, right, for any length of time, you'll know that some code or some projects have a lot of code. And that's okay sometimes. But if you're gonna have
that guy should have been like an amazing
cams make this reusable because we can
engineer at the time.
With this automaton, we can actually write many sentences because we can just replace the cams and discs with.
Whoa.
So that's a lot of utility out of one problem.
Yeah.
Additionally, this was built again in 1770 thereabouts, and this video was taken within the last 20 years.
Wow. Oh my god.
It's still running, right? It's
hundreds of years old and it's still working.
Extremely solid.
Yeah.
And that's what we want out of what we do moving forward. So we want something fairly elegant. We want it to do what it's meant to do, and we like to do it. We like it to do it well.
And it's actually writing letters.
Time fixing it. So moving on, what does it mean to say automation framework? At the core, this is my definition, not a dictionary definition. The core of what an automation framework is just an organized approach to writing test cases, to executing test cases, and to reporting the results of those test executions.
Okay.
That's it. Everything else is essentially window dressing, right? Different ways of doing it, right? Performing that work. So what does it mean to make a good automation framework? Well, it needs to be fun. And that sounds cheesy, I know, but I'm dead serious. The reason it needs to be fun is, let's say it sucks to use. Let's say your automation framework is overly complex, or it's, in order to learn how to use it, it's
I just want to write tests
on end. And whenever you need
properly,
you don't immediately jump to mind, you've got to go and look through a bunch of copy paste or notes that you have. So writing test cases is much slower. It actually sucks to write test cases. And if it sucks to write test cases and it's not fun to do so, you're going to do the bare minimum. You're not going to use that great brain that you have and your curiosity, right, and your creativity to come up with good cases and write good cases. You're actually going to do the bare minimum. If you do that at all, you're going to be slow. And
I'm slow. Right? I discovered that really fast.
Because why? And it's probably not even applicable to any other job because it's a homegrown solution, right? So you can't even really take it anywhere else. That's why we want it to be fun. Fun means as many of the hurdles have been taken.
It needs to be faster.
And you get to build things.
Yeah, I took like an hour writing tests.
My job is fun. I love it. I've said this in my other tutorials. I love going to work every day. I go to bed at night thinking about the problems I'm going to solve the next day. I wake up excited to get there, and that's a good thing in my book. So what else does it need? Well, it needs to be fast. Preferably fast. I should say that, well, the first thing it needs to do is work, right? It needs to function correctly. That's kind of obvious. But if we can have fast, we need to have that because we need the information that framework is going to provide us as soon as possible to make decisions as soon as possible. So it's cheaper to make those decisions and we can divert resources as needed, right? Do we need to handle a bug right now? Do we need to stop what we're doing and fix this?
Yeah.
These are things that a fast framework allows us to do. It gives the power back to the team. And it needs to be minimally complex for the reasons I just stated. If it's too complex, no one else is going to know how to use it. You're going to have to train a bunch of people to use it, and that makes their job suck, right? It makes their job less fun, which means they're eventually going to quit. And it's not something you can take anywhere else anyway. So that's probably bad. And finally, it needs actionable reporting. That means you can run a bunch of fancy tests, but if you're not giving someone valuable data from those test runs, then it doesn't matter, right? It's in a vacuum.
It doesn't matter.
It needs to be useful reporting, right? Metrics or you need to get the status of the product or whatever it is you're testing and have that as readable and actionable as possible. So, on the other hand, what makes a bad automation framework? Oh man, there's a lot of these, right? I've written a couple of them, I think. The obvious first point would be, well, it's not fun to use. Meaning, I don't know if you've ever felt that feeling where you start a new job or a new project.
It's slow. I realize that.
Of this thing you're going to be working on, or someone tries to teach you this, the ins and outs of the project you're going to be working on, and instantly you want to die, right? Like all your motivation just drains away. That's bad. That's not good. And that actually has a real cost in the real world, right? I mean, it's one thing to say, well, buck up and do it, right? It's your job, and that's fine. Some people are wired like that, and then maybe they love to do things that don't make much sense. But you're actually costing the organization money when you.
Yeah, it's way too slow.
Frameworks that are not fun to use. We don't want frameworks that are slow. I mean, this is kind of obvious. It's just the opposite of the other one. And I see a lot of slow frameworks. You're going to see slow frameworks when you don't know how to use your WebDriver weights properly. If you are doing browser automation, or you haven't, mobile testing is notoriously slow, right? And so you have to do everything you can to avoid that. And there are ways that we will discuss to handle that. You don't want a slow framework. You don't want it to be overly complex. We already discussed this, right? we don't want it to be something that just takes. You have to hold too many things, too many buckets in your brain at the same time to solve a problem. That's bad.
Yeah.
And the biggie, you don't want it to be unreliable. This is where I would say if I grade frameworks that I see throughout my career, right, against these criteria. Unreliable is the top one. Unreliable means your engineers actually spend more time maintaining and fixing the current framework that you have rather than writing new tests and increasing test coverage. This is a swamp that a lot of automation teams hit, right? They start off kind of strong, they develop some automation, things are good, and then they hit this peak where because the foundation wasn't strong, and we didn't hit all those other points we just discussed, if things start to go bad, and that's where you spend the rest of your project time trying to fix it. People lose faith in it because it breaks all the time or gives them bad data. You bring bugs to developers. It's just your framework is not properly maintained.
I'm going to...
Honestly, people just stop listening. And if people stop listening to the results of your regression tests, then why are you there, right? And why is your automation? The answer is, well, it shouldn't be. It's actually doing more harm than good. It'd be better to just not even have it in some cases. So here's a common question. What is the best automation framework? I hear this a lot. Now, when I say framework here, again, framework is a broad term. So when I say framework, generally I'm going to mean the whatever tool that you are using to organize your tests and your test suites and your test runs, and any domain-specific, project-specific logic that you bake into it to make it powerful and useful in your context, right? That's what I consider. I consider a framework. Now, for this slide only, when we say framework, we just mean some tools that are out there to help you do some of these things. So I'm going to go over kind of the most popular ones that are in Python, and I'm just going to give you a brief touch on each one, and I will go over what we're going to use. So unit test this comes baked into Python. It's pretty powerful, actually. It's if you need to have some...
It's a library that already comes there.
Functional testing integration, you can do whatever you want. But it is pretty bare bones. It's been better lately in terms of they've added test searching, which we'll talk about.
I noticed that.
Not the greatest test searching, in my opinion.
It's a next unit.
Many tools inside this library. Download or install it. You just get it. So if there are some useful things in there, it's good to know about them. Mocking is one of them. We'll talk about that maybe in another tutorial.
I didn't find anything about mocking, by the way.
Comes with Python. Nose is popular, very popular, and it's actually built on top of unit test. So it kind of extends the functionality of unit test. It adds test searching and test tagging, which is fantastic functionality. Nose 2, I believe, is the version now that is widely distributed because it handles both Python 2 and 3. And we have Behave. Behave is a behavioral test framework. It incorporates an abstracted language called Gherkin, which is sort of a middleware between the human...
No idea what that is.
...tests and the actual code. There are some contexts where this is very helpful. In my own experience, I found that people tend to overuse it in contexts where the abstraction is not necessarily justifiable, but it's a very powerful framework, and when people use it well, you can have some very powerful stuff go on. Robot framework. This is another framework that handles a lot of browser automation and other testing, which also uses a language built in, right? A separate language to describe the testing. So I'm not going to really go on. I haven't used Robot that much myself. I'm not a big fan of abstracted test languages.
Wow, this guy already tried a lot.
I just haven't personally worked in contexts where that has been very valuable. So I'm not the person to come to for Robot. And I will end with Pytest, also very...
I know that one.
...compatible with unit test cases. So if you have this is the great thing about some of these frameworks is if you have a ton of automated test cases, someone's already written in unit test, then you can use them in Nose and you can use them in Pytest, and you don't have to change anything. Everyone's happy. Pytest is what we're going to be using because just in the context I've worked in, it's fantastic. And it's got some little tricks and tools that really empower you very quickly. I think you'll see that in a couple videos we do, because it takes me, I can set you up a Pytest framework in something like less than a minute. So it's got tons of libraries that people have written for it, a lot of tools and plugins and things like that. So I actually use Pytest as the foundation for all of my test suites, not only unit tests, I use it for all of my test suites. And later Pytest is the one that we will be using. So why Pytest? Again, one thing I want to say here, I want to be clear. I'm not making the claim that Pytest is the best automation test framework, because that's a useless claim. There's so many different contexts within which people write automation, right? So depending on if you need a lot of business people to be looking at your test cases all the time, or maybe you want business people writing your test cases. I've never been in that situation, but people claim it's great, and something like Behave or Robot might be great for you in that scenario. But so again, the real rule is choose one, learn to use it well, stick with it, be consistent, right? Don't tightly couple yourself to it. So write really good Python code, write really good tests, and write it in such a way where if you needed to change your framework, you could do it maybe within a week. So don't couple it too tightly. But again, I want to underline this. Choose one, stick with it, learn its ins and outs, learn how to use the tools, because they're all really fantastic at what they do in some cases. And being consistent with one of them is absolutely going to bring you and your team and your organization more value than hopping around to whatever you think or whatever someone says the next new hotness is, right? We are going to use Pytest because it does have some advantages for the context that I work in. So why? Well, you can see right here, powerful test searching, right? We'll get into that very quickly. The ability to search for tests it basically kills the manual maintenance of test suites. So previously, like in unit tests and others, you have to maintain a file that was your test suite, and then you have to invoke tests and list all the tests you wanted to run in those suites, and it takes forever to find them later on when you need to go look in there as your suite grow, as your test cases grow, right? You've got a lot of them. And test searching takes care of all that. You can tag your tests and then never think about them again. Then when it comes time to run your tests, you just say, go run me all the tests that are back-end or UI, or don't run any of the slow tests, or that kind of thing. So you have self-maintaining test suites, which is a very, very desirable thing. Because one of the big risks I've seen in people that manually maintain test suites, some of you may have already done this yourselves, is that let's say I have a regression suite, right? Let's say I have a smoke suite, which smoke tests are a subset of the regression suite usually, right? So if I've got test A inside my regression suite, well, then I've also got test A inside of my smoke suite, right? Because that's one of the big important tests. Well, what if that's also an integration test? So now I've got test A inside my regression suite, my smoke suite, and my integration suite. And if I need to change that, let's say test A breaks and I need to remove it or change it. Well, now I've got to remember all the places where test A shows up. So I've got to modify 3 different files. That's just foolishness, right? That's against all the concepts we talked about in the beginning in terms of elegance and maintainability. We don't want to spend the rest of our lives running a control F and looking through multiple files to remove things, right? Let's tag it once and forget about it. So let's concurrency, right? Over here. So this comes out of the box for you with Pytest. There's a plugin called Pytest xdist, which we'll get into later. But as long as you write isolated test cases, which we do because you learned them from me probably, if you did, and if you didn't, you should go check out my elegant browser automation course. We always write isolated test cases. And we're going to talk about that here as well a little bit, although this is not strictly a test case course. So as long as you write your isolated test cases, you're not sharing resources or anything like that between tests, you will get effortless concurrency, meaning out of the box. You don't have to do anything, you get it for free. That's a pretty big deal. Because again, what was one of those big points I said? Fast. Well, we run multiple tests at the same time, right? We put on our sunglasses, we lean back, we have a Mai Tai or something. Good to go. Okay, maximum code reuse. There's something that Pytest has called fixtures. A lot of frameworks have some way of handling test fixtures or harnesses, and I think Pytest is the best of the ones that I mentioned. I'm a little biased because it's the one I'm the most familiar with, but I have seen how the others use them, and fixtures are just phenomenal for code reuse. They are a way to essentially write the code one time and reference it without even having to import it. That's a little bit of magic that Pytest does for you.
Oh.
And that's it. You can, if you ever need to change it, you go there in one place, you change it, you never have to go searching in other areas, right? That's desirable. I have actually seen code bases decrease using fixtures and just generally good test writing practices. I've seen code bases shrink by 80%. That's how good this is. That is a lot of code that you never have to think about, touch, or maintain ever again. And by the way, when you have a new person that comes on the team and they look at something that is 20% the size of what it used to be, they're much less likely to get immediately depressed and want to jump out the nearest window. If you show someone a huge bloated mess of code that has minefields scattered everywhere, again, you're just not using your resources correctly. And finally, we touched on this. Pytest has awesome plugins. It really does.
Plugins? Oh my god.
Oh, they've got a timeout plugin. It's incredibly useful. I mentioned XDist, which gives you concurrency right out of the box. There's something called Pytest Sugar, which gives you these nice little check marks when it runs and everything kind of looks prettier. There's a test coverage plugin that goes in and automatically checks out your test coverage.
For reports, I mean.
Projects. It's incredibly, out of all the test frameworks that I described in the last slide, Pytest has by far the most commits in GitHub, which does not mean, it's better. It just means it is more actively maintained.
Yeah.
So for us, Pytest it is. And that's it. I'm trying to keep these videos shorter, these lectures shorter.
Thank you, because it's been 23 minutes.
Excited to get into this. This is
cut in half.
Everything starts. If you build a strong, stable automation framework, everything else is going to basically just like once the trees grow and start bearing fruit, you're going to see value just come out of your ears. It's really impressive, and it's just going to make you an incredibly powerful engineer. So let's get going.
Okay, so the next one, I think I'm going to skip it maybe. Because it's setting up on Windows.
There's a little bit of environmental setup that we need to take care of
Windows.
first. Don't worry, it's not going to take long. But no matter how familiar you are with Python and with things of that matter, I really recommend you go through the next two videos and that you don't skip them, because there's a couple special things we're going to do. They're going to try and make sure that everything that you have set up in your environment is as close to my environment as possible. So we can
Okay, but I'm going to be watching the one for Linux and Mac OS because that's what I'm using.
That are on Mac OS or a Linux distribution, we need to make sure that your Python is installed correctly and that we get your virtual environment set up as well. So let's go ahead and do that very quickly. If you need to get to the download site for Python, the most trusted place that we can go where we can make sure that the software we get is going to be safe, it's not going to harm our computer, that would be python.org/downloads.
Hey, he's not too far behind,
This is probably going to be the first thing that comes up, as it should be. So you'll notice that if you arrive here, it should make a good attempt at guessing your operating system. You can tell that.
Okay, let's try that, because I never tried that actually on Linux. It's python.org download. There we go. It's in 3.10.4. What? What the hell happened? Like this? 3.10.4. So yeah, it's the same version, so I already have it. Okay, never mind.
I am on a Mac right now, and if it's incorrect, it's got some links under here just in case. If you're on a Linux distribution, unfortunately, there are too many for me to really make a video for each one of them, but your installation process should look almost identical to what I'm about to demonstrate. So you can go ahead and click here, and I'll go ahead and if you need to wait for that to download, go ahead and pause now and unpause once you have it. I'm going to double click on mine and get that installation started. So once you're ready to go ahead and resume. So here we have the installer. We start with a nice introduction. Let's go ahead and skip that. We're on a time constraint here. We've got the README. You can read through that if you'd like at another time, or pause it and read it if you'd like. I'm going to skip that. And we've got the license, which is of course very important that you read, which I'm sure you can do on your own time.
Nobody does.
Go ahead and hit continue, and I'm going to agree.
Yeah.
And here you have an option. Here you can either customize where you install your Python binary, which is what this customize button down here is for, or you can do what I'm going to do and just let it install it in the default location. If you choose to customize your install location, then you need to remember where that is. Put it somewhere
where that is, yeah.
because you're going to be traveling there very soon. If you don't, then you can just follow along with me and everything should work itself out. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the install button. And if you have any obviously protections on your computer, go ahead and disable that, or rather approve it, and it's going to start installing. So mine is going to be installing my binaries into a default location that doesn't really matter right now, because it's also going to place it in our path automatically, which is something that
nice.
For the Windows operating system, we have to click a button there to get it to add it to our path. And it should be coming up here on the end. So what you should get is a message that says, congratulations, right? Which is very polite. It was successfully installed.
It's
now,
not too old. This course is not really old.
Reach out to me and let me know.
It's really close to the current version, because we are in 3.8.10 and he's on .2.
So now that we've got this installed, we need to go find it, and we need to create a virtual environment out of it that we can use every time. So let's go ahead and do that. So now that we have Python installed, we need to go ahead and set up the virtual environment. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to locate the install that we just added, and we're going to create the virtual environment off of that install to make sure that the virtual environment has the version that we want. We want to have Python 3.8 or again, whatever modern Python version you're using. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now we can check to make sure that your Python version is in your path by just trying to check the version from wherever you are in your file system. You can do this in your terminal or in the terminal in your IDE. So I can just type actually, Python, I have a couple versions on my computer, so you probably do
Python
using
3.
Linux. So we'll try Python 3.8 -- version. And you can see that indeed, it calls that correct Python version no matter where I am in the system. But I don't want to rely on that for this install of the setup of the virtual environment because maybe your path is different or you might have some issues there. So we want to eliminate as many potential problems as possible.
Okay.
So we're going to use another method. And that is we're going to change the directory. We're going to cd to /user/local/bin. That is if you chose the default install on a Mac. If you didn't, then obviously you need to cd to wherever you put that install. If you run Linux, it may be in the same location, but because there are so many Linux distributions, I can't guarantee where it's going to be. If you have issues finding it, just reinstall it and choose a custom directory and then go ahead and cd to that directory. So here we go. We're going to go to cd/user/local/bin, and I'm going to do an ls for Python star, which just means find me anything in this directory that matches Python. And we can see that because I work with Python a lot, there are a lot of versions here. The only version that I really care about is Python 3.8, and that's what we're going to use. So here's how we're going to do this.
3.8 config?
We're going to call Python 3.8, and we're going to do a -m. Don't worry if you don't know what that means. I just want to build this virtual environment. This means we're going to actually call a specific module. That module is the built-in venv, which creates virtual environments.
Okay.
And now we need to come up with a location and a name for our virtual environment. Again, if you have a certain place in mind that you would like to put it, go ahead and use that. Make sure it's someplace easy to find because we're going to be activating it basically every lecture. If you want to avoid any hassle and just do what I do, go ahead and follow along with me. I'm going to put it in my home directory, which is, you can do tilde, which is a nice shorthand. This will work for you and for me. So tilde /, I'm going to create a directory called venvs for my virtual environments. And I'm going to put this in a virtual environment called framework env, since that's, well, what we're doing. So this is going off the screen a little bit, but you'll see it in just a minute. Framework env. So I'll go ahead and...
I don't see anything, dude.
It's going to think for a second. We didn't get any errors. That's a good sign. So let's make sure that that actually worked. So again, I'm going to cd over to the new directory I just created. So tilde for my home directory /venvs or wherever you installed yours. And I'm going to take a look and see what we have here. Okay. Framework env is here. Fantastic. So now we just have to cover how do we activate it and how do we deactivate it, this virtual environment we just created. And let's make sure that it's actually the version that we expect. So we're going to cd into it. Take a look with ls. I see there's a bin directory here. This is different from Windows users. Windows users have a scripts directory. Everything that we care about right now is in the bin directory. So we're going to go there, use ls to take a look around, and we can see that we do have Python 3.8, so that's good. We can see that we have our pip. These are all basically just symlinks to the actual install on our system.
Okay.
Isolated. And then we have our activate.
Deactivate binary.
To activate this virtual environment.
And deactivate.
We use this word source. You're going to need to memorize this because we're going to do it all the time. For Mac, you're going to need to source this activate file. So let's try that, see what it does to our command line. There we are. We can see that the command line has changed. I have a virtual environment in parentheses at the beginning, which means we've activated our virtual environment. That means that everything that we install using pip is going to be isolated in this virtual environment. It also means that our Python version is going to be locked in to whatever we built this virtual environment with, which is, of course, Python 3.8.2. So all we need to know now is how to deactivate this virtual environment. And anywhere that you are in the file system, you can just type deactivate, hit enter, and notice that parentheses went away. So we're no longer in that virtual environment. And just to prove that to you, I'll take the version of my system Python, and we can see it's 2.7. So that's where virtual environment is. That's how we create one. That's how we activate it using source and the activate script inside your virtual environment binary directory. And when you want to deactivate that virtual environment because you're going to go back to doing whatever it is you were doing before, you can type deactivate and enter. And that's how we set up our virtual environment. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask me.
Okay. Before going forward, I might like to do just that, create a virtual environment. I already have installed, well, this is one thing. This is the folder for the previous course, but I may, instead of adding to this, I may like to create a new one. Or maybe just, I could do something here. Well, first, I see that I'm working. Let's check the status of that first. So let's see what we can do here. I think that the best way to go would be to start a new repo. I'm going to do that because if I aggregate everything on a single folder, wait, I can do both actually. I know. cd. I think it's GitLab. No. Get Python. There we go. Okay, so git status. Okay, looks like nothing else happened here. We can check it out here. The head is here. Well, I am behind, I think, because main is way behind. So let's do this. I think this is okay. Everything seems to be up to date. Okay, check out main. I am on the main. Yeah, I am on the main. Okay. So what I'm going to do is go back here. Let's go to GitLab. And let's just make a, yeah, I have two branches here. It's main and review unit testing. Oh, I can actually make a merge request right here. Okay, let's create a merge request. There we go. There we go. So here, let's pull all those changes. Let's pull all of those changes here. Okay. Okay, looks like all the whatever changes I did, I already got them. So let's delete this one over here. And now what I'm going to do is to rearrange. I don't think it's going to be necessary to create another branch for that. So what I want to do here is to this review. Well, what I'm going to do, what's this mask? Format code, pip 8. Okay, never mind. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to create a new folder. And I may like to make this folder the name of the previous course, so that's what I'm going to do. Let me see, I'm going to get the name, this one here. Actually, I have the name of the course right here in the URL. So let's use that one. It's totally valid, no spaces. I don't really like naming my folders with spaces. And there we go. I wonder if it would be a good idea to add a number here. I don't think so. Complete Python developer 0 to mastery. Nah. It may be nice if this folder keeps growing, but since those folders contain code from different courses, I don't think that's going to be necessary. So what I'm going to do is to move everything down here. And now, inside this folder, I have the entire, the first course I got. I just did that. Okay, there we go. And that's everything inside. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to create another folder that contains my current course here. There we go. Let's copy the name of the course. This is a mouthful. Look at that. Okay. And now down here, I'm going to begin adding everything here, you know. So I can reuse this same repo for learning purposes. You can barely see that because it's very small, but let me show you here. You can see it clearly. So on this first folder, the complete Python developer 0 to master. Can I make this bigger? Well, I guess that's okay, I guess. This is the first course that I was learning from, and this is the new one. So I'm going to be working inside this folder. Having said that, I guess it's time to get inside this folder and actually do the command to create. I already forgot about it. Wow. VM Python environment. Okay, so here we go. So this is the syntax for the command. There we go. And now I need to just add the path to the environment. I think I already have it, but I may like to. Whoa. just to make it explicit. There we go. I'm going to need to delete the first one, this thing over here. So I'm going to create a virtual environment with a different name. I'm naming it another thing because I think VM is the de facto name for virtual environments. So I think that following the recommended naming nomenclature will be best. There we go. And oh wait, is everything down here? Is that okay? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. No, I think that I missed one step. I think that I will have this was missing. But before doing that, I guess I'm going to rm everything from the current folder for recursive. It's not F, it's a force with F, Maya. Okay, so everything is deleted. Thank you. Let's look for this command over here. And there we go. Now everything is inside this folder now. I believe that's how he's doing it. So now I need the command to actually start the virtual environment. Let's look here, source activate. Okay. He's using source. And I guess it's inside bin. Source activate now. Source, I guess this. Oh, look at this. Oh, wait. Yeah, I need to log into VM. Okay. Source, VM, binary, activate. There we go. So I can see here the name of my virtual environment. So I am right now where he is. Okay. I guess I'm going to mark this as watch, although I guess I'm going to be using them once I change it. No, I don't even need them because when I'm working on Windows, I am actually working with Linux for Windows. I think it's called Windows Subsystem for Linux. That's the name. So I'm basically always working on Linux anyway. So that was another chapter, and the last chapter. No, there is only 4 chapters on this course, so I'm glad that it's actually short. Okay, let's start getting started with Pytest. Let's get started.
Welcome back, and let's Pytest. This is a lecture and a tutorial, so please follow along with me. Quick housekeeping, please activate your virtual environment. If you are using one,
okay, it's already done.
To make sure that we're all on the same version, and we have the same libraries, there's nothing else causing problems, otherwise
that's done.
And you're probably going to quit. So if you're in a virtual environment, then you should be supremely confident that you only have Python 3.6 on your computer, or that's the one that you know you're using. And if you don't know how to set up a virtual environment because you skipped it, then please go back and check out that tutorial. I promise it's not long. So, by the way, that's a foundation of Python development, so it's something you need to know anyway. You'll know that your virtual environment is activated because you'll see it right here in parentheses.
Yeah.
And whether you're using Visual Studio Code like me or PyCharm, whatever, it's all the same. My code will appear here, the file's here, and this is just a direct link to my command prompt. I'm on a Windows machine. If you're on Mac or Linux, this is the same as your terminal. If you don't feel like using an IDE and you want to go, do everything on your command prompt or your terminal, that's perfectly fine too. So let's get to it. How do we set up the Pytest framework? Well, it's insanely hard. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually amazingly simple. It's going to be a short lecture. So the first.
Okay, but before that, I may like to commit the changes already because I guess I'm going to be working now. So git push. Oh wait. Git status. Yeah. This is going to be git add everything. What? Yeah, I guess it's add everything, dude. Why didn't it work? Git status, git add everything. Yeah, I know. Okay, looks like something changed then. Git A, all. Oh, it's A, capital A. Wait, ain't that a little dangerous? Yeah, what happens to the files I want to ignore? That's my real question. The stage changes. Let's just make a quick overview that I'm not adding anything. Okay, this seems to be ignored. Automation testing. I'm looking for, okay. So the VM folder is still ignored, so that's fine, I guess. Okay. So let's do a git commit with a message. And it's going to read I actually forgot about my double quotes on its own folder. And there we go. Wait, what? Oh, no, that's the name. It's not an error. I mean, never mind. Let's see. Yeah, that's fine. Let's push that little change into the main. And there we go. I did that on the main branch because if I'm going to move files and reordering files, I don't think it's necessary for me to create a branch just for that. Okay, so we are clear. Here we are. Well, it's taking me directly into the VM, but I should be here only. There we go. Wait, what? This is the VM. Wait, what? Oh no, it's fine. Well, maybe because I don't have files yet, that's why it's showing me like this. So I'm going to be creating files anyway.
What we need to do is let's create a fake test file, kind of a stub. You can use your IDE. I'm going to work in the command prompt because it's more professional. So it needs to be called. I want you to follow along with me precisely here, and that's important for reasons I'll describe in just a minute. Let's call this test underscore widget.py.
Okay. Okay. So here we are. I guess I should do the terminal alongside him. There we go. And let's make this a little bigger. Can I make the terminal bigger here? No. That's a shame. Okay.
See, it appeared up here. And if you're on Windows, you can hit dir to make sure it's there. Yep. If you're on Mac or Linux, ls will work. Yep. Okay. So we're in a good place. Let's go ahead and write a fake test case. So
okay.
Here, I want you to call this function.
Oh, the quality of the video
underscore
took a dip.
Underscore functions as.
Well, I am on the highest.
All separated by underscores. I like nice long, very
okay
and informative names for test functions. Assert true underneath, which means this is just a fake test, right? It will always pass, which is desirable.
Okay.
So, again, you've got a test underscore widget.py file, and in that file, you have a function called test widget functions as expected, and we're just going to assert true. Here's the biggie. You have to save this file or things are going to go badly for you. So Control S if you're here, right? If you're using Vim or something like that, make sure you write this file. And how do we set up Pytest to run this new amazing test suite we've created? Well, it's pretty complex. You pip install Pytest. Okay,
well, I think I already have it.
Cached. I've installed it recently. I'll give you about another 15 seconds to finish your install.
What? This is more like a tutorial, bro. I don't even see the command anymore. What's the name of the library?
Install Pytest.
Pytest. Okay. Okay, so Pytest is installed.
Okay, yours is going to take a little longer than mine because mine is cached. I've installed it recently. I'll give you about another 15 seconds to finish your install. And if it takes longer,
don't.
And next step is
we can pause.
We type Pytest, we hit enter, and it finds our test.
Okay. I don't have this file though. Test widget functions as expected. Okay. So let's add this. Test is oh my god, the text is so small. I can barely read. You cannot read it. So I had to read it for you. Test widget functions as expected. Yeah, you need to make your text a little bigger in order to be able to be read. Yeah, because you have a big area to show your code, and having just like a 1% of the screen just for text is really bad. Maybe you can read it, but the person watching this on a phone won't be able to. Okay, so just assert true. Oh wait. So it's going to be true all the way, I guess. So what's the command again? Pytest. He just runs Pytest. Okay. Python left to code. Oh wait, no, it's not going to work here. Because oh yeah. There we go. Now here is Pytest. There we go. So the test ran successfully, although it didn't do anything. It looks way better than unit test, by the way, because at least I have some green text over here, formatting. It looks a little better. I give you that.
Right. Pretty easy. Now, what does this mean? I see some green here. That's good. One passed. So our fake test passed as we expected. And we see the name of the file right here, right? The module test widget, and we see a little dot. That little dot is a pass test. There are better ways to display this, but in Pytest, sorry, there's no language. The way that Pytest chooses to express a pass test is a period. So, real quickly, if you do a Pytest-V, just to see kind of a different way of
verbose,
what the test run looks like, that means verbose, which means give me like a prettier, more descriptive version. Let's hit enter. Now we get something a little prettier. Here's the test module, testwidget.py. Here's
then
test
the function.
widget functions as expected, and here are the results. Here's the percentage of where we are in the test run. Great. This is already pretty useful, right? Look how readable this is already. We're testing a widget. We're testing that widget functions as expected. Yes, that's a test case name, but we're practicing here. And it passed. Awesome.
Okay, let's try that. Maybe here is going to be okay. Pytest verbose. Okay. Test widget functions as expected pass. Okay, yeah, verbose looks a little better.
Well, let's go ahead and see what it looks like if it fails. So go back into that file. Let's make a test case stub that fails. So test widget fails. Right?
Okay.
Again, write it exactly as I do here.
Assert false.
We'll do assert false, which means 100% of the time
it's going to fail.
Again, how do I do it? How do I use Pytest? I just type Pytest. I hit enter. And there we go.
Okay. The name is test widget fails. There we go. So one passed, the second one failed, and the failures are listed. Test widget fails. That's the name of the function. That's the function already. And it's marking the line that where it fails, and it's telling me on test widget line 9, I guess, assertion error failed. Test widget fails, assert false, one pass, one failed. Okay.
I'm going to make this a little bigger here so we can see what happened. So we ran Pytest. It gave us a bunch of information about the run we don't care about right now. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
And test widget.py. One passed. Remember, this means a pass. And one failed. Well, one of the great things about Python.
Oh, the F is failed.
You the entirety of the code, or the test case that ran, and it points to the exact line where it failed. Now, this isn't very informative right now because we just have a test stub, but if you had actual test logic here, it would become very informative.
Yeah.
So we see the summary down here. One failed, one passed, and it only took 0.05 seconds for it to do so. One more time, let's run it with a -v to see the verbose output. Go ahead and type the dash.
Oh, that was not the verbose.
You're not hitting up to get your last command, right? Up and down on your command line. Please do. We're professionals. Come on. Go ahead and hit enter.
Okay.
All right. Now let's look up here at the actual run. So test expected, passed. At this point, we're 50% through our suite, or a test run, however you'd like to do it. And test widget fails, failed, nice and red, right? Now we are 100% complete, and you've already seen this part. So we just okay, that's it. There's some default behavior we're taking advantage of here. See if you can guess what that is.
Why 50%?
For example, if I write another file in here, another function here, and I say, you don't have to follow along with me, just gonna watch for a second.
Okay.
Some tool I need, right? Some function, some convenience function. In fact, just to be clear, some convenience function, and if that's run, I do some extra work. So
what? Why would I do that inside a test?
Is Pytest going to actually run this, even though it's not a test case and I don't want it to?
Yeah, it's not.
Find out. I'm gonna clear everything here.
The name?
Again, please don't follow along. You don't have to.
I guess the name is what's going to the side. It did the same.
Some convenience function. And I can prove that again by using the dash.
Yeah, I guess the name of the function.
Well, why?
If it's a start with test or finishes with
The reason I
test.
tried everything precisely as I did is because we're taking advantage of this little nicety, where if I run a function test underscore something, and a module,
or it finishes with test maybe
underscore, then Pytest actually recognizes that as a
test case
function, and it treats it like a test and it runs it.
Okay.
So right off the bat, as long as you play by those rules, you're good to go. It will go ahead and it will run all of your tests. So can I change
I
that?
think I remember that from the other course.
And I will go over that very briefly. But that's essentially, like, this is, Pytest is set up here. Like, we're good to go. I could start filling out files and files of tests. Or if I wanted to, by the way, if I had a bunch of unit tests written in, if I had a bunch of test cases written in unit test, meaning unit test is a Python library that we discussed before in the introduction, which many people have test suites written in that. Well, Pytest is perfectly compatible with that. You can actually run those as well, no problem. So let's go ahead and customize this a little bit just to show you how. We only have to create one more file. This is the file. This is the only file we really have to know in order to customize Pytest at a basic level. Again, you don't even have to have this file, as we just saw. As long as you play by the rules of using test underscore, you're good to go. But I'll create one for you just to show you. Pytest.ini. This is the only bit of sort of housekeeping that we're going to have to do until a little bit later. So this will get us most of it. Pytest.ini. Remember that. Here we go. We've got one. So follow along with me here. So create it.
But this is a tutorial. It's not a course. Then
I'll give you a second to get there. We're going to use square brackets and type Pytest, which means I'm about to give you some Pytest configuration. And here's what governs the test search. Test searching, we're not going to go into right now because I have a whole lecture on it coming up. And it's one of the most amazing pieces to a powerful test framework. But I'm going to just go over kind of what it is and how we customize it. So the default looks something like this. There are three things we can use. We can use, well, there's three things we need to really specify. Python functions, and we give it a pattern. What does a Python function look like if it is a test case? Well, in our case, it was test underscore and then some stuff, right? This star here is what we call wildcard, which means anything that starts with test underscore, some other stuff there. We consider that a test function. And we can say, well, Python files that are considered test files. Well, it defaults to this, right? But let's type it out. Those are also test underscore.
What?
Star, meaning anything that starts with test underscore and then has some stuff after that, doesn't matter if it's .py or whatever, we consider that a test file. So we'll start looking in there if we are Pytest. Right? And the other one that we have is Python classes. And I changed this one up a little bit because I tend to name my classes a certain way. So I would say anything that ends with tests, because classes are typically used as kind of a suite, a test suite, because they bundle together tests that are similar to one another, right? They test kind of similar things. Maybe you have a class called widget test. Maybe you have a class called browser test.
But I believe that's already the case, isn't it?
So again, those options are, you must have this bracketed Pytest here. We have Python files, we have Python classes, and we have Python functions. So let's see if this works again. Okay, it still picked everything up because it liked our patterns. So how can I customize this? Let's say instead of test, you wanted to call it check. You're one of those people that believes that machines can't test anything. So we want to mess with the vernacular and call it check. That's perfectly fine. It's your choice. This is your suite, your test automation. You can do whatever you want. So we'll say check underscore star. And you can follow along with me if you'd like, but if you'd like, you can also just watch me because I'm just demonstrating a point here. You've already kind of done the work. So let's say check underscore is what we want. Well, if I try to run Pytest against these tests that contain test, right?
It's not going to work anymore. So, no test.
Why? Well, we didn't collect any tests. Why didn't we collect any tests?
Okay.
Well, because we said the rules were that I as Pytest will only consider you a test when I'm searching if your files start with check underscore, if your classes end with checks, and if your functions start with check underscore. So if I had to adjust this so that we could be back on track, I would have to rename this file what? Well, check widget.
Check widget.
And why don't I rename just one of these to kind of demonstrate this?
Yeah.
So check widget functions as expected. I'm going to leave this test widget fails, which means that I expect this not to be run, which means that nothing should fail. And then we already know this shouldn't run because it doesn't match that pattern. This doesn't start with checks.
But I don't want to remove that functionality.
It ran, it found that one item. It ran check widget functions as expected. Great. It completely ignored this because as far as the rules are concerned, that is not a valid test case.
You really need to make your code bigger, dude.
Obviously, there's a lot of things we're going to go over that will customize it.
The font is way too small.
But right now, you could go out and start writing test cases, and this would completely eliminate the need for you to really manage your own test suites. As long as you name your tests well, and you put them into files that are named well, and you can use as many directories as you want. For example, if I created a directory and called, deeper tests, whatever, and I created a, let me go ahead and copy this file. I'll put one in here.
Yeah, I really need to tell these people to make their fonts bigger.
We're going to rename this. We'll say check subwidget, right? And under that, I check the subwidget functions as expected. Again, don't follow along with me, just kind of watch it.
Yeah.
I expect you'll play with this under them anyway, as you should. So now I've got my check widget file that does some stuff, and I'm going to go ahead and I want this back. So I'm going to name this and fix it so we get the failing test. And the check subwidget, which is down here, deeper in this other directory, that's going to assert true as well. So all I'm trying to demonstrate here is I could go down 5, 10, a million directories. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Type Pytest down here, and I hit enter. Boom. It runs all of them. Look, it found check widget, which was in the same directory that I was in. It found deeper tests, and it found check subwidget because we followed the rules. We called it check underscore, right? So again, what's the reason for this? Why is this so cool? Why is it so powerful? Well, organize your damn test cases, right? Don't stick them all into a class called smoke test or integration suite or whatever, right? Previously, you'd have to manually organize them before unit test came out with kind of a...
But that's the way to do it, isn't it?
You would have to basically...
To group them up in a class.
File called regression suite, and that would be a bunch of tests. Let's say test A, B, and C, right? Well, then you have a smoke suite run for just the major stuff, right? Maybe that only has test A, right? And then you have an integration suite, and maybe test A is also an integration test, right?
I will do that in folders, and then inside a file with a class.
Integration suite module and in the smoke suite module, which means if I ever need to remove it, I have to remember to remove it in 3 places. And if I need to modify it, you see where I'm going with this. Manually maintaining test suites is not smart. We don't need to do it. We shouldn't be wasting our time on it. It's going to cause problems. Don't even get me started on commenting out a test that you want to skip and then forgetting about it and never seeing it again. So in this way, organize your tests. Put them in as many directories as you need to have them make sense. Break them up as you need to. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, if I'm writing a lot of tests, sure, why not?
Pytest will find you. As long as you follow these rules, it will ferret you out. It will run your tests. So you don't have to worry about it. Organize, get OCD, get your test suite all kind of logically organized, and let's work clean. Okay? And with that, that's it. You set up Pytest. You can do it in less than 2 minutes, and you get all that power for free. So moving onward, we're going to actually get into the much more powerful things that we can do with Pytest. But I hope you're with me on this. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask, and I will get back to you. Usually I respond within a day, so I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for following along. Play around with this. Play around with the Pytest INI. Change your patterns. Get used to this because this is core knowledge you need to have as an architect of automation frameworks. Thanks again.
She's using OBS. Oh my god. And no editing at all. I'm not going to be trying that because I believe that the rules that I already have in place are good enough.
All right, today we are
test searching.
So we touched on test searching in Pytest.
42 minutes for that. Oh my god.
We did that by, well, creating some directories, right? We created a test module. We created another directory with some, we had widget test, we had a sub widget test, and we showed that with Pytest, it will automatically dig down as far as it needs.
I'm not writing tests. What are you talking about?
Match this pattern that we give it here, meaning in our pytest.ini file, which you see is currently the only file I have here. We're going to start fresh today. So if you move the pytest.ini file, go ahead and put it back while I'm giving my little spiel here. And I've set it back to the default pattern, search pattern here, meaning test underscore whatever. Then we will see that Pytest a test file, right? Python classes, as long as they end in.
Just give me a minute then. Then I forgot about something important here. Yeah, because I already working on a file over here. But I didn't realize that I am still on the main. I wonder if I can just stash everything. Okay, now let's get a stash. There we go, no changes. I'm going to create a new with checkout. A new branch called, what's the name of the chapter again? There we go. That's the name of the chapter. But I believe I need to make it at least put everything together here. There we go. Yeah, I think that's a good name. There we go. Now, key the stash. Is pop, show, apply. There we go. Thank you.
That is a Pytest, or sorry, a test class, and Python functions, as long as they start with test underscore, Pytest will consider those test cases, and it will run them. No matter how many layers deep you go, you can create a bunch of directories, a bunch of files, as long as the tests meet these three criteria, then Pytest will find it, and it will run it. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to have your test functions under classes. As long as they match this pattern, it will work.
My God, the text is so small.
Test methods under those classes, both of these need to be true in order to for Pytest to recognize it. As long as we remember
It's from 2018.
Well,
This course is really old, bro.
and more helpful aspects of test search. And we're going to do that by playing with what we call markers. It's also known as test tagging. We're going to tag tests. I spoke briefly last time about why it's not a good idea to manually manage test suites, because you are grouping things together that don't necessarily belong together, right, all the time. It's much better to group things together in a way that makes sense logically so that you can find it later, and so that, again, everything kind of constructs itself in your code here just like it would in your brain, and it makes it easier for you now, you 6 months down the road, and anyone else to read your test suite. What we want, ideally, as I said before, I don't want and you don't want you building a test suite that kind of works for you, right? And maybe it knocks out some test cases, and then you move on to the next big project because they love your test suite, and someone else comes in and they can't make heads or tails of it, and it becomes too expensive to maintain, and eventually it dies. That you haven't done anyone a service really when you do that. So what we want is a test suite that is extremely
reusable
right off the bat. So today we're going to talk about how to do that with test searching. Let's get right down to it. We're starting fresh. All you need is a pytest.ini. Follow along with me today. We're going to use
that's why you created it.
test stubs again. I'm not going to write actual test cases because this is not a course about writing test cases. We'll cover that later. This is a course about writing a usable framework. So I want you to go ahead and again, you can use your IDE or you can use the command line like I'm going to do. We're going to construct this as we would in the real world. So ideally, we want kind of a parent folder, and I'm going to call it tests. That's sort of the convention. That makes sense, right? These are our tests. So go ahead and create a directory called tests. And today we're going to be testing a car. So let's create another directory under that. So for you command line people, I'll do it down here. We will call this, we'll call it sports car. That'll be more fun. Let's get exciting. So I made a directory called sports car under test, which means we could have other tests, right? Maybe we have tests for, I don't know, our business side or who knows what.
Yeah.
What today are going to be sports car tests.
Semantics.
Right off the bat, you can see we're getting.
Oh my God, everything is so small.
So let's keep on making some more directories. We know there's certain things we want to test. So I'm going to
sport car.
One for, let's say, engine. We'll make one for, what else do we want to test? We'll make one for,
yeah, semantics, basically.
Radio, GPS, things like that. We'll make one for, why don't we make one for just the body, right? Okay, so now I've got 3.
Yeah, whatever.
So sports car has body test, engine test, and entertainment test. Again, are these the best names? I don't know, but they're clear, right? If let's say 2 years later.
I don't have, I don't have to guess too much.
The sports car, right? Like I heard like one of the tests about the shifting, right? The engine shifting is broken, right? So where can I find that? And you would look here and say, well, it's probably not under body. It's probably not under entertainment. So if we do have that.
And the engine.
That's what we want. We want the best guesses to usually be right because we save all that time guessing and we don't make their life suck when they open us up and there's just a bunch of tests with no organization and then that's bad.
Yeah, that's actually a good.
Let's start with body. So under body, we will create a file called.
A good advice.
Oh, sorry, that's not going to work.
That's good advice.
That rule is right here. Test body is better.
Test body.
Okay, so we have test body. Under engine, well, you guessed it. Test engine. And we could break this down smaller if we wanted, right, and test individual components, but I think you get the point. We're not going to go too crazy with the test stubs today. Last but not least, and I'll do this on the command line because, again, we are professionals. Whoops, not that one. There we go. All right, looks good. We have all of our directories and our tests good to go. Let's set up each one. So test body, let's create a test function. Well, we'll just say test body functions as expected. I know that's not a great name, but again, this is not important here. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste this, just kind of modify it as we go to save some time here. So test engine will test the engine and entertainment. And I'll even say entertainment system.
Okay.
All these, if you're in an IDE, some of them don't save automatically. Visual Studio does not save automatically unless you tell it to do so.
Yeah.
It will cause problems for both you and I. Okay, we've got our test stubs. Now, okay, this is not going to take very long. This is how easy this is. Let's go ahead and just to remind ourselves where we are.
At least he zoom in now.
I'm going to go back up to that.
Because we cannot really see anything.
I'm going to test folder. I'm going to type Pytest. I'm going to hope that it runs all my tests. you know what? It did.
Oh.
Let's do this. Is that did not activate my virtual environment. So I'm going to go ahead and do that.
But
and, I'm going to skip that. So you don't
that's the
do it.
33%?
Continue on.
66,
Okay, so I'm
100.
back where I need to be. I am at the root directory here. You can see by the
I think I get the percentage now.
are popping up here. Once you actually run your code and it gets
Bytecage, okay.
Machine code essentially and gets run, then it creates some cached files that are already interpreted so that if you run it without changing anything, it will run faster. That's
okay.
Not a Pytest thing. Just don't worry about it. And if it's not showing up, your IDE might be hiding those. Since you don't normally mess with them, that's okay too. So
yeah, that's nice.
Okay, so we're ready to go. I'm at the root directory again, meaning I'm at the same level as pytest.ini and
okay.
test. So I'm going to type pytest just to prove it works with my virtual environment. It will find my tests. We see right here.
Whoa, nice.
Our body, test body looks good. Engine, test engine looks good. Entertainment, test entertainment looks good. Great. You can see the progress here. And it all happened in 0.04 seconds, which is great aside from the fact that we're just asserting true, so it's kind of a fake test. But everything's good, right? If this is not happening for you, if it's not finding your tests, then go back and check those test functions that you created.
Okay, I want to try that actually. Because I may like to be really sure of how this works. But first, let's add this thing here. What? Oh, those are the previous messages. Oh, interesting. Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay. Now let's try to publish. I guess it did. Well, it's already there, so it's not going to. Yeah. Nothing else new, nothing new under the sun. Okay. So this is my first, well, the thing he did is really not useful. He's not teaching me to write tests, basically. So I am a little concerned about it, but anyway. Okay, so I may like to try, well, maybe inside a folder, maybe test. And down here, I already know Pytest is going to look for inside this folder if I go one level up, okay? But down here, so you can read better. So these are my folders. I don't see test anywhere. Where is test? Oh, it's outside. It's a sister. Okay, it should be inside. There we go. There we go. So the test folder is right here. Okay. So here we have the test folder. So I may like to maybe cp my test widget. My test widget inside the test folder. And I'm going to rename it as test 1, I guess, .py. I wonder if I can repeat this like this, test, test, oh no, 2_test.py. I wonder if, I don't remember if I can copy one single file several times in a row, but I'm going to try it anyway. And test dash 3 test, maybe like this, .py. It's not a directory. Nah. I think what it's going to do is going to pick up all the previous ones as files. Let's try this one. Test 1. Why not? Where am I? Okay. Oh, it's test. I got a typo there. There we go. I copy the first one. I'm going to make it like this. 2 and 3. I'm trying out stuff. Test. I wonder if that's going to happen. Okay, so now let's try Pytest. And let's see. It found the first one is en route. It found test 1 and 2 tests, but it didn't find test 3. That's fine. I think I'm okay with this. So as long as I begin with the word test underscore something, I wonder if I can use spaces for this. For example, instead of underscore, I may like to use the escape character, this one here, and a space. And that should test. And this should have, there we go, 4 space tests. I wonder if Pytest is going to find that. No, it didn't find it. I don't think so. So I guess it needs to be, it needs to begin with underscore test. I mean, it needs to begin with test underscore or finish with underscore test in order to be detected by Pytest. Okay, it's good to know. Let's, this is not useful. To trash. This is not useful. And these are the values that are actually useful. Okay, let's add them. Well, and that's it. I guess that's file that should be okay. Okay, let's go on. Let's continue.
Make sure they're named correctly before you move forward. So, all right, this is great, right? I ran all the tests, but what if I don't want to run all the tests? Right? What if I only want to run, what if I have hundreds of tests, thousands of tests?
Yeah, thousands.
And I don't want to run the entire suite because it just takes too long. It's not actionable information that I need. Let's say I'm on the engine crew, right? The engineers test the engine. Then we've made a modification to the engine, to the sports car, and we want to run our tests to make sure that everything checks out, right? That nothing that we're covering.
Maybe I can send
our change. Well, I don't have time to set for the body test and the entertainment system test. Those do not apply to
from the file system.
One goal and objective that we have.
When I use the Pytest command, maybe.
Right, or release. Well,
that's how we'll think it works.
We start using what are called markers. So markers are ways of so that we can delineate what we want to run and when. So here's an example. So over here, I'm going to modify this test. So go to your test engine.py module.
Okay.
And we're going to import something from Pytest. We're going to import
Pytest
marker. I'm sorry, not marker. We're going to import mark.
Mark. Okay.
We're going to mark this test case. So now we imported that. Let's go ahead and use a decorator because that's what mark is.
Oh, it's a decorator.
Mark this using @mark because it's a decorator @mark dot. Well, whatever you want to mark it. In this case, I'm going to mark it engine. Seems like a useful.
Oh.
You've got a file cabinet at home. And you've got your bills, and you've got your hospital records, and you've got your documentation for your passport and your birth certificate. Well, if you are lazy and you mark your file folders poorly, then you're going to waste time trying to find things. And then again, you may just not want to because it's too much of a hassle. That's bad.
Okay.
So in tests, right? If it takes too long to find something, then you're just going to not do it because it
takes too long.
You mark them well, right? And honestly, you can go crazy if you want. I'd rather you overmark your test cases than undermark them because if you mark them and you never use that marker, not a big deal. It doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
So in this case, we marked an engine. You know, I should probably. I'm OCD about this. Sorry, you gotta have a space.
So,
Python files or else stylistically.
So I marked them. So it doesn't matter.
Okay, we marked an engine. I'm not gonna mark
where I store them. As long as I mark them correctly, it's okay.
Pytest. We're going to do -m, meaning I'm about to give you
a mark. Okay.
Let's run. What this is saying is
engine.
Engine means hey, go do that thing that you just did where you go and you find all my tests. But I actually want you to only focus on the markers that match engine. Right? I only want you to find tests that have been marked engine. So let's see if that works. All right.
Just one. Perfect. Oh, interesting. Okay. So I'm going to do that. That seems interesting, actually. Okay, how about test 1? Test. test 1 and test 1 mark it. So the first step will be, well, I may like to modify this. It says from Pytest, there we go, import mark. What? Mark is a class now? No, there we go. I think it's a function. It's a decorator function, obviously. So he says this dot and this, but I'm not going to be marking this. I just want to be marking this one here, mark 1, and I might like to go here and this 2. Just the same, mark 1. Okay, so I am on 2 different files, and I'm marking 1. Oh, but it's not going to know because I don't have the import from there. There we go. Now I like to change this timestamp. There we go. From Pytest, import mark, and now I can mark everything as 1. And I have 2 different files, and it should work just the same. If I run Pytest, it's going to run all the tests. The one on the root folder and 2 inside the test folder. Okay, so if I, let's go to the terminal because I think it's going to be better there. -m space and 1 is the name of the mark. And there we go. Test 1 mark, assert false, text 2 mark, assert false. So it's just running those tests mark with 1. That's actually really useful because eventually I'm going to be writing a lot of tests. And yeah, indeed, if I'm going to run everything, it's going to take a long time. I may just, I wonder if I can run more than 1 mark. For example, here, I may like to maybe mark that 2, you know. Let's go here. And this one, mark it as 2. And maybe, I wonder if I can say, okay, I want to test everything with mark 1 and mark 2 at the same time. Does that work? Error file directly not found to, no. The third parameter is, yeah, it's another thing. Okay, maybe I need to say this again. Okay, 1 passed, test 1 passed. No. That's too bad. I wonder if I can, if there is a way to, maybe he's going to teach me now. Let's keep watching.
I ran the engine test. So you can see I'm a happy camper if I am the engineer who works with engines. Then I have now saved myself a lot of time by not running tests that mess with the body of the car, tests that mess with the entertainment system, the GPS.
Okay.
I only care about the engine. We want, again, the whole goal of this framework is to get actionable information as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So to scale, if we had a ton of automation that actually took a long time to run, I mean, we can write it very efficiently and we can write it very fast. But if you have a ton of test cases, you're still going to have to wait a little bit. But we want to wait the least amount of time because the more you wait, you're throwing away money, right? It's expensive to wait. So let's not wait. Let's run. If we change something in the engine, but we don't change anything else, let's go ahead and just run the engine suite, and then maybe we run our smoke test for everything else, and we're good. But this is how we start to do things like this. So moving forward, let's go ahead and let's mark some of these other ones here.
Yeah. What if I want to run 2 or more marks?
I'm going to mark the entertainment tests. Entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, just to test this theory, I'm just going to run all of the body tests.
Body.
Didn't find anything, and that's because, again, I got burned by not saving this. So let me go ahead and save my file. There we go. Try that one more time. There we go. So it ran my body test. Great. So, well, that's great, right? Let's get even more great. Let's do something like this. Testing that the engine functions as expected is not a great test name because it's not specific, but in this case, let's pretend like it's actually a good test, right? It goes and it tests all the critical things. Let's say we consider this as a smoke test. So if you're familiar with testing, smoke test would be, hey, these are the bare minimum tests that I need to run after a change to determine that the whole thing's not going to blow up, that we at least get basic functionality. Right? Well, there's nothing to stop me from choosing this and saying, well, this is an engine test, but it's also a smoke test because it's one of the core tests for the engine. It's important. Let's mark it smoke. And same for the body. Let's say this just happens to be our most useful body case. Whoops. So we're going to mark this smoke. And the entertainment one. Let's say this one is not super smoke testy because as long as
So that's the way?
if the entertainment system works, maybe I don't care. Right? Maybe I don't consider that a smoke test for this case. But as long as the engine works, as long as the body seems to hold up, then we consider it a car. And
Safe.
so those are our smoke tests. Well, now I'm going to clear this to give us some room. We can do Pytest-M. What am I going to put here? If I want to run only the smoke suite, well, I put smoke. And again, it doesn't work because, again, I didn't save my files. Probably made the same mistake, so I can pretend like this was on purpose. All right, so one more time. There we go. So we went through and we ran test body and test engine.
Yeah, but
Test body is a smoke test.
what if I
Test engine
want to
test,
combine
the entertainment test? Because that was
marks?
So what's really happening here? Aside from me just marking a bunch of stuff and running the markers, why is this useful? Well, I've just essentially Pytest has just given you a self-maintaining suite. You can now actually build a suite whenever you want by either calling certain markers or just marking things as a suite. I typically don't mark things regression, for example, because most of my automation tests happen to be regression tests anyway. So regression would just be the entire thing. For me, the submodules is what is interesting, right? The breaking it apart into different features, for example.
Okay.
So what do I mean by this is a self-maintaining suite? Well, let's say I have the engine and these are both good smoke tests, but one day we make a decision, you know what, this body test, who cares about like the body in terms of smoke, right? Like, we've got some other tests that are better. They better represent the critical functionality of the car. So let's remove the body test from the smoke suite. Well, previously, when you managed your suites in modules, you have to go into every module, you have to run a search and say, okay, well, if we have, let's say this body is in a body suite and it's in a regression suite and it's in a smoke suite. So now we've got to remove it from 3 different files and hope that we find all of them. Otherwise, we didn't actually remove them, right? And that takes
You can actually remove it.
error. Here, if I want to remove this from the smoke suite, I just remove it.
Yeah.
I remove the smoke descriptor. Right?
But what happens if I want to combine 2 or more
Save
marks?
this. I don't want to get burned again. We only get the one test.
Yeah, just one.
You can imagine if I had thousands of tests here, or hundreds of tests, the ability for me to immediately
guess.
adjust suites on the fly without messing with multiple modules, I can just do it in one place. That's a huge deal. It's a very huge deal. You're going to save yourself a lot of time. You're going to save future people a lot of time. This is important. Okay, so this is a very strong feature of Pytest, and Nose has this too. Unit Test has started to have test searching and test tagging, and at least the last time I saw it, Unit Test was not very robust, but it was better than where it was, which was no. But this
So
is a strong
this
feature of Pytest.
unit
You
tests
too,
don't have this.
but allow you
Okay.
to do it, and it is a strong feature for any test framework either way. So whichever one
Okay.
you need to be using markers or tags, whatever you like to call them.
Marker or tags. Okay.
So that basically wraps up test search. I mean, you mark whatever you want to mark. And
Wait,
we'll go
but
over
you're not answering my question then.
a couple advanced cases in just a second. Mark away, right? Mark these tests. What you need to mark, and if you need multiple markers, you can stack them up. It's not a big deal. So if this body test also has to do with the door of the car, then we can mark door if we want. And let's say we want to run just the door tests. I did wrong. I did save it. So there you go. So that is the basics right there. I'm going to cover some advanced things real quickly before we finish up. So well and good. What if? So here's the things we're about to cover. We're going to cover what happens if I want to run mixtures of things, combinations of things, mix and match, because that's very useful. That's going to be one thing we're going to cover. What if I'm tired of marking every single test a smoke test, right? If I know that all the tests, or let's say I'm tired of marking every test a body test. If I have five tests under here, I don't want to keep marking body. That's a waste of time. Do we have to do that? The answer is no. We can get around that. That's going to be the second thing we're going to cover. One more thing we're going to cover is, can I actually save my markers so that they show up later if I forget what my markers are? The answer is yes, and I'll finish with that. So
Okay.
I want to handle mixing and matching. And I will post a link on this video to Pytest documentation. It's very good. It's short. It's sweet. It's not a bad read. So go check it out. But in short, let us say right here, I've got test body functions as expected. I've got my body marker. It's a door marker. And over here, I've got a smoke test. So I've got some stuff marked. Well, what if I want to run my entire regression suite, meaning everything that I have, except entertainment? Meaning, in the first case we did previously, it was like, I'm an engineer who works on the engine. I only want to run the engine test. Well, what if that same project, the same engineer, is now working cooperatively with the other team who handles, let's say, the body stuff, right? So there is some hum that's happening in the body that's causing a rattling, and people don't like it, so they don't want to buy the sports car. So they work with the engine team to try and come up with a better solution so that the engine doesn't vibrate. Maybe they fix a housing that attaches the engine to the car. Who knows? But the point is they work together, and they made a change. Now we want to run both the body and the engine tests. Well, we can do that. So we get ready. We're like, hey, Pytest, get ready to go. I'm going to give you some markers I want you to run. Well, I can't just start listing things like this, like, okay, body and engine, because, well, command lines don't work like this. This would take this and say, okay, you want me to run body? And then it would get, what the heck is engine? I have no clue what that is. So the way we get around that is we use quotes. Now we can start to play. And we can do things like, let's run body and engine. So go ahead and give this a try. Go ahead and add your quotes, add body and engine, and let's see what happens. Well, nothing happened. So why did nothing happen? Well, because body and engine means my tests need to be marked body and they need to be marked engine. So we ran into an issue here with and or. And I did this to illustrate how this can really confuse you. So
okay, so that's how.
That test case is marked body.
Okay. So I need a logic statement here. Okay. So that's how you answer my question then. I think. Let's try it out. So I have 2 things. I have 1 and 2. But here on -m space, now I need a Boolean expression here, something that returns true or false. So I guess it's going to be 1 or and. But it will be or 2. Yeah, I guess I need to mark them both like this. Test 1 mark. Oh, it's running 2? Yeah, I think it's running 2 sets. Test session starts, 6 items. So it's going to try everything. Yeah, I see. It's trying out both at the same time. Test 1 mark. Okay. And from this, from the first set, okay, I'm lost. Let's look for, there we go. So it begins here, okay? So it's 6 items, 3 deselected, 3 selected. Test 1. And test 2 fail. These are 2 files, okay. Failures, this one is mark 1, and there is another mark 1 in another file. And the summary of that. And now mark 2. No Pytest mark 2. Is this a typo? Yeah, maybe. Let me see. No, it's called 2. It's called 2. Warning summary. Two fails, 1 pass, 3 deselected, 3 warnings. Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this.
And engine. So what we really wanted when we said we wanted to run the body test and the engine test is we really need to look at it like, hey, Pytest, I want you to run any test that is marked body or engine, right?
Okay.
If it's marked body or engine, run it. Now we have some luck. So the engineers are happy. We ran the body tests and we ran the engine test. Why? Because when think of it as looking through each of these tests in a list, this one pops up. It says, okay, is it marked body?
Oh, wait. I think I didn't save. Yeah, that's why I didn't find them. There we go. Yeah. I'm getting more warnings now. Okay. To failed. Test 1, test 2. Here's why they fail. Mark 1, mark 1. Where is the mark 2? One, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 6 items, 2 deselected, 4 selected. Okay. 2 here and 2 here. Okay. Mark 2. Is this more a typo? I don't know. Okay. Never mind. I guess I got the general idea.
Body. Is it marked engine? No, it's not marked engine. It would skip it. That's why up here we didn't get anything. But if it pops up, it says, all right, test body functions as expected. It's marked body? Yes. Or well, it's already marked body. And since you said body or engine, we're good to go. So it pops this onto the pile, says you're good to go. We're going to run you. Comes over here, says, all right, is it marked body? No, it's not. Or engine? Oh, engine, yes. Pops this on the pile. That's going to run. Comes over here, says, is it marked body?
No, engine, no.
No, not going to run. Therefore, we get...
So marks are important.
Again, you got to use quotes. And you want to use or if you want to pick up both. Well, let's say we had a bunch of suites. And we only wanted to run entertainment. And we didn't want to say, well, don't run engine and don't run body and don't run this other thing.
Just entertainment.
Or rather, we don't want to have to name everything. Sorry. So I don't want to say, okay, run the engine test and run the body test and run the interior test. That's a waste of time. So let's say I want to run everything except for the entertainment system. Well, I can do that.
Not entertainment.
Say,
oh.
Go find all my tests and run everything that is not.
Oh.
Guess what? It went and ran my body test. It ran my engine test. It did not run my entertainment test. Well.
Let me try that. It's complaining about 2, so... There we go. Everything that is not 1 including the one on the root that is not marked. Okay, that's fine. I'm getting a lot of warnings. Mark 2 for detail. I have a typo somewhere. Let me see. Let's see. Where is it? Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 1, Mark 2. No, it's not a... I don't have any typos, I don't think. Or maybe I'm not seeing it.
Why don't you run any test that is body and door? So
No door.
again, if I go back to my body test here, I would expect it's going to say, all right, do I have body? Yes, I do. Do I have door? Yes, I do. Okay, you go in the pile. And you don't have to follow, type this, just kind of watch me for this part, just because I want to demonstrate this. Let's say I had another body test. It was not a door test. I don't know, we'll say bumper, something like that. And we'll say that breaks. Anyway, not bumper. Okay, so if I say run body and door, so run all the tests that are body and door, my expectation is, okay, does it check out on body? Yes. Does it check out on door? Yes, you get to run. Does it check out on body? Yes. Does it check out on door? No, you don't get to run. So what I expect to see here is one test will run. That's it. There we go. So that happened as expected. Now, if I remove that again and just run the body test, we should see that failure pop up. And we did. So are you tracking with me here? If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask. So we're going to go ahead and move ahead. So again, what did we get from this? We got that we could use quotes to give multiple kind of mix and match. So when I do my daily routine, if I want to run all my API tests or my backend tests, I might say not UI, meaning don't run any UI tests, just run the backend. Or if I want, I can mark in backend, or I can say run backend, not UI, or backend, not what. You get what I'm saying. You can kind of mix and match. So that's huge. You can essentially, this is how you build a suite. I don't have to actually build a module called, remember that scenario where the engine team is working with the body team. I don't have to build a suite. Like let's say at the culmination of all their work, like let's build a suite to test all the wonderful things we've done together.
Yeah. No, just mark.
Tests from each of their departments and
just mark them
suite
properly.
Right? Body engine suite. So now we've got duplicated tests because you've got a suite for engine, a suite for body.
Yeah.
Some of the same tests that are in body and suite. Sorry, body and engine suite. That's duplication of effort. That's not a good idea. So why do that? Just mark your test correctly. If it's a body test, mark it body. If it's an engine test, mark it engine. If it's a test of both, mark it both. And then you create a suite by just doing this.
Pytest.
Let's run any that are body and engine.
Body, engine, okay.
A combination of the body and the engine team, and it tested both. We would mark it body, we would mark it engine as well. And
this is more like a long tutorial rather than a course.
In fact, I'm searching with these parameters.
I'm not convinced.
It doesn't create anything. It runs that suite. So I've made up a suite by just saying run body and engine, which means there you go. That's a body and engine suite. You didn't have to
it's taking way too long to show very little content.
And we can create whatever suites we want to after the fact.
And I can barely read his code anyway.
It maximizes code reuse. This is good stuff. This is how you should handle something like this. Is how you should handle your test suites. Let's move on. So I said that we didn't want to mark everything body if I had a bunch of body tests. So if I have a windshield test here, and I'm going to fix this test because I don't want it to fail right now. Now, this is irritating to have to sit here and we know these are all body tests. We call this module test body. So why should we have to, I could call this module with Pytest, but that's not really in the spirit of test searching. That's just saying, hey, go run this file. That's the old way. So how do I handle this? Well, we do what you do when you want to create a suite. Again, I mentioned before that you can create a class and use it as a suite. So instead of...
Yeah, but I want to learn how to write...
Which means I have to have self.
Tests.
And I need
not just poking around the library. I can do that on my free time.
So body tests. Now, here's what I'm going to do. Let's be lazy. Let's be efficient. We already know these are all body tests. We're grouping them using this class. So if I mark a class, everything beneath that class gets that marker. And I'm going to prove it to you.
Oh, okay.
So
body.
I mark this
okay.
Class. And remember, this class has to match our pattern. Something followed by tests. Something followed by tests.
Body tests.
I'm going to run my body tests. I'm going to go and clear this. So we have a clean slate. Pytest-m, run my body tests. There you go. So
I want to validate that really quickly. Down here on the unit testing, there we go. Test main. So I guess test main, yeah, that's a good name. So I guess it can begin with capital T, E-S-T, and test the stuff. Okay, never mind. Okay, let's continue.
It ran 2 tests. Why didn't it run this one? Well, because I didn't name it correctly. There we go. Picked up the 3 tests. So what am I trying to get across here? Don't type body a million times. Just create a class. This is why I always work under classes for my tests. I'm creating.
You can group way better that way.
You are sort of creating a suite. Right? You're creating a class that creates a suite of body tests. But I can create any kind of customized suite I want later on using the marker term -m. Body test, not door, body and door, whatever. We can create all sorts of sub-suites whenever we want later on without changing anything. But
you really need to zoom in to make that font bigger, my friend.
Maybe they're all smoke tests. And all these will be marked as smoke, and they will all run as part of our smoke suite. That's another thing to remember. Again, to be clear, marking a class, class A marker in Pytest, will give that marker to every method underneath that class. So be careful. Don't give a class a marker if you don't want every test under that class to have a marker.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along. Final piece. How do I save my markers so I can look at them later if I forget what they are? I tend to just mark on the fly because if I look at the code later, I can see the markers. Let's say there's ones that we want people to see. Well, it happens in your Pytest.ini. So you essentially create a we create a entry in your Pytest INI, it says markers. And why don't we say something like, I'm going to move this over. Let's say smoke, colon, all critical smoke tests. We had one for, don't fix my stuff. I didn't want it that way. There we go.
Well, what's this? Is this a dictionary?
I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory.
What is this? No, it's not. Entertainment.
Now, I can write this in other ways, but I'll leave that to you to improve upon in the future. So again, marker name, colon, what it is. And how is this useful? I'm going to clear this down here. What are my markers? Pytest -- markers. Now, by the way, you can use -H if you want to know all your options. I'm not just, you don't have to just remember these. You can see right here, when I did -H, it gave me, all right, well, -- markers will list all of them, and -M will only run tests given the mark expression. So I'm not making this up. It's in their documentation. So let me clear this out.
Okay.
All right, so sorry, again, Pytest -- markers. And here we go. We got a bunch of stuff. Where do we start here? There we go. We typed it in here, and here you go. It says, well, smoke, all critical smoke tests, all car body tests, all tests covering the entertainment system. So it's just giving us a summary of all of the markers that are
I guess.
documented here. Again, you'll remember I created one called door, and it still works. I can go and run my door test, but if I don't document it here in Pytest.ini, it will not show up when I go looking for it. Meaning, if I give this to someone else to use and they type Pytest -- markers, like, hey, what are my markers? What kind of suites can I generate? What can I mix and match? If I don't document it here, unless they look at the code, they will not see that door marker, which is fine. Maybe that's more for the developer, and maybe that's why I'm running it when I'm creating the test, or it's for me to use, and I don't need to expose it. That's perfectly fine. Mark as many things as you want. It's not going to hurt you as long as you mark them accurately. But let me caveat that. If you mark them with too many things and people start mixing and matching, you could end up removing some tests from your run that you don't mean to remove. So just, again, make sure you know what you're doing and mark them accurately. But
that link is broken.
People, like, there are things that you think other people might want to use, like smoke, entertainment, engine, high-level markers that are very useful, then you should document them here. Otherwise, no one will ever see them.
Yeah, this course is
document them here in your Pytest.ini file.
is wasting my time a little bit.
Developing, or they're very specific, then go ahead and mark it and forget about it. Not a big deal. Okay, that's it. I know that's a lot of information. What did we go over today? Well, import, essentially from Pytest import mark, start marking your stuff using a decorator here, and use Pytest.
It's a pop-up window. What?
Get use of those markers. So if I run my door test, I just want to get one. There we are. We learned that we can mix and match. So I can say something like do body or engine, and it will run anything that is body or engine. Or if I need two things to be true, let's run body and door, which will only run the door test. There you go. And finally, we went over the fact that if I didn't want to keep typing the same one because it applied to everything, anything that you mark at the class level will cascade down, and it will apply to all of these. And the last piece was, again, we just went over the markers. Anything that you want to be exposed to anyone else, you need to document in Pytest.ini using this syntax here. And again, I will link you to the Pytest documentation where it's very clearly laid out. So this is where all the power is, folks. This is where the really good stuff starts to happen. This is where you get self-maintenance, which is a big deal. This saves you a lot of money. It saves you a lot of time. It makes your job.
But this is a library.
This is what you should be doing when you write your automation. So again, Brandon Blair, been great working with you. I'm really excited to move forward as we get into fixtures, which is, again, even better than this. Fixtures are like a whole other level of awesomeness. So I'll see you next time.
Yeah, I don't trust your quizzes. It's 2 p.m. already. I think I should get something to eat soon.
Welcome back, and today we're going to move from basically the Pytest basics, such as test searching and marking and all that, and then we're going to really dig into what I think is probably the most powerful feature of Pytest. And that feature is called the fixture. I could sit and explain it, but if you've never automated before, I doubt that would convey the meaning, so I'm just going to demonstrate it. So I haven't touched anything since we last spoke. Maybe that was a couple minutes ago for you, maybe a couple hours, maybe a couple days, maybe a year, doesn't matter. Everything is as we left it with our sports car test suite here. So why are fixtures good? Why should we use them? Here's a good example. Let's take a couple tests that I have, one in each little suite here. So one body test, one engine test, and one entertainment test. So for each test case, let's assume that we needed a browser. That's a very common thing, right? For web automation, browser automation, you often need a browser window to pop up so we can use it. Well, we can solve that problem the easiest way, which is, okay, well, I'm going to use a couple examples here. So for the body tests, we will, let's call this, we'll call this a UI. So this is going to be a UI test. I'm going to change this to test can navigate to, what would we call this? To a body page. And I don't want you to, this is actually important to say, I don't want you to follow along with me just yet. I'll give you the go-ahead for when we're going to actually go through it. I just want you to watch how this unfolds because I'm going to be changing a couple things as we go. So here would be the logical way to handle this if we were just starting off. We'd say, okay, I need to go to a page, which means I need a browser. So,
oh my God.
Import WebDriver. For those of you that haven't taken my Elegant Automation course, just kind of hold on.
What the hell is that?
It's a good course. So we'll go ahead and get our browser. We'll get a Chrome browser, and we'll navigate somewhere, which means I'll say, okay, well.
Wait, you're using Selenium now.
I've got a couple pulled up here that I'm going to use. For the body test.
Wait a minute.
For window to pop up so we can use it. Well, we can solve that problem the easiest way, which is, okay, well, I'm going to use a couple examples here. So for the body tests, we will, let's call this.
Wait.
We'll call this.
Okay, let's go back a little bit.
Welcome back. And today we're going to move from basically the Pytest basics, such as test searching and marking and all that. And then we're going to really dig into what I think is probably the most powerful feature of Pytest. And that feature is called the fixture. I could sit and explain it, but if you've never automated before, I doubt that would convey the meaning. So I'm just going to demonstrate it. So I haven't touched anything since we last spoke. Maybe that was a couple minutes ago for you, maybe a couple days, maybe a year, doesn't matter. Everything is as we left it with our sports car test suite here. So Why are fixtures good? Why should we use them? Here's a good example. Let's take a couple tests that I have, one in each little suite here. So one body test, one engine test, one entertainment test. So for each test case, let's assume that we needed a browser. That's a very common thing, right? For web automation, browser automation, you often need a browser window to pop up so we can use it. Well, we can solve that problem the easiest way, which is, okay, well, I'm going to use a couple examples here. So for the body tests, we will, let's call this, we'll call this a UI. So this is going to be a UI test. I'm going to change this to test can navigate to, what would we call this? To a body page. And I don't want you to, this is actually important to say, I don't want you to follow along with me just yet. I'll give you the go-ahead for when we're going to actually go through it. I just want you to watch how this unfolds because I'm going to be changing a couple things as we go. So here would be the logical way to handle this if we were just starting off. We'd say, okay, I need to go to a page, which means I need a browser. So from Selenium, import WebDriver. For those of you that haven't taken my Elegant Automation course, just kind of hold on with me here, although you should take it. It's a good course. So we'll go ahead and get our browser. We'll get a Chrome browser.
Thank God I already know something about that. I will be very confused and frustrated right now.
Test. Why don't we go to Motor Trend? This will be our indicator that we made it to the body page. So all we're doing is we're opening a browser here.
Browser, get.
We need a WebDriver object, and we're going to go to Motor. I'm going to copy this. Now let's go ahead and set up our other tests. Let's have a UI test for entertainment. So I'll mark this UI as well. And I will say test entertainment system. I'm going to change this and say test can navigate to entertainment page. And here again.
Now that's interesting.
From Selenium, import WebDriver. And say, okay. For this one, for the entertainment, we'll go to SiriusXM since that's a common. They're always bugging you, when you buy a new car or you start a free trial of SiriusXM, and they're always sending you letters afterward. Please join us free, right? So we'll say SiriusXM is a good good page to go to for the entertainment system. So if you see SiriusXM pop up, you'll know that was the entertainment page test. So we got one more. That is the engine. We'll mark this UI as well. And whoops. Let's go ahead and steal this so we don't have to waste time.
No.
Say, all right. So where are we going to go from here? I got to import.
You're testing Selenium.
Got to type this again. So we got that, and for the engine, we're going to go to how a car engine works at the Art of Manliness. Why not? Sounds like a good place to read about engines. Okay, this is why I didn't want you following along. This is too much to figure out and type. So we'll do our own example in a minute. So we have our 3 tests marked as UI tests. Good, good, good.
Yeah, you're going to navigate to those websites.
Before you know that, but we're going to hope that magically this will work. We don't have to fix too much. I'm going to hope that I will get 3 browser windows to pop up, one for each test that we run. So let's go ahead and run our suite. And again, we get the value of the markers here. Because I marked those tests as UI tests, I gave myself the power to now basically self-create a UI suite. So here we go. Run all of my UI tests.
Okay.
And before I forget, we should probably rename this like we renamed the other ones just to be clear. So test can navigate to engine page. So just as a reminder again, we're going to use the power of markers and test search to say, well, we marked all these things UI.
User interface. Okay.
Whenever we want, create a UI suite. So here we go. Let's run a UI suite. I expect to see 3 test cases run. I expect to see 3 browsers. That should work one at a time.
Yeah, it's going to open 3 browsers.
Starts. We can ignore all the stuff down here. Okay, so the engine one clearly is firing off. Let's make sure. Yeah, sure enough, our engine test was the one that ran first. Next we have, looks like the body one actually kicked off first. There it is. There's the body test right there. Here's the engine test, the engine test here. And the only one that we are left waiting on.
But what are you asserting true?
XM?
You're not asserting anything really.
Here in just a minute, there it is.
You're just passing your own test. You're not asserting anything.
What does that mean? It means all of our tests passed. Everything went.
Not really.
Awesome. What's the problem?
Because it fails.
Well, there's one problem.
You're never going to know.
Type the same stuff 1, 2, 3 times. That's bad. That should be.
You're not teaching me how to use assertions.
We could. No, the import's whatever, but this is the real issue. We're grabbing a browser, 2 lines of code, 2 lines of code, 2 lines of code. That's 6 lines.
So you're assuming I already know how to use assertions. So
have it pop up every time. So how? Well, we're going to use a fixture. And there are, I think I mentioned this previously, but there are only 2 files that I expect you to use to configure Pytest. One we've already covered, and it's right over here. Pytest.ini. Remember, it handles the test searching patterns, and it handles the markers. That's basically it. There's some other stuff you can do, but for now, that's fine. There's one other file that I need you to create. Not right now. Just keep watching, but in a minute. And we're going to do another lecture here where I'll walk you through it. This is just kind of more of a, we'll do a tutorial set where I'll walk you through it. This,
yeah, it's a tutorial. This is not a course.
This magical file that is incredibly powerful is called conftest, like configure test. It's a weird name. It's not a very good name, but it's a powerful file. And all we need to know for today is that, and I will say this twice, any fixture that we create, and a fixture is just a function, so it's just some work we want to do. It doesn't matter what it is. Any fixture that we create in conftest becomes accessible anywhere inside that directory and any directory below it. Any test case that is in that directory or any test case below it. I'm going to say that one more time because it's important. Any fixture that I create in conftest becomes accessible to any test case here in this directory that conftest resides in, and every single directory, doesn't matter if you have 1, 5, 1 million, all the way down. For example, any test case here, any test case in body, if there was a directory under body, it would be accessible to all of them. Point number 2, I don't actually have to import them in those test cases. That's a little bit of magic that Pytest does to help us out. Why is this good? Well, because it saves us code. How does it save us code? I'm going to show you. So, for example.
So you're on the root folder.
Let's do this.
Pytest, import fixtures, one time.
So I'm going to write a function that does some work. That's all a fixture is. It's a function that does some work. We'll call this, well, what it is. What do I want? I want a driver, or to be more specific in this case, just to be clear, I want a browser. And what do I want that browser to give me? Well, we kind of already did the work. I want a Chrome browser. Now I could use any browser that I want, Chrome, Firefox, doesn't matter. For today, let's keep it simple. we'll use.
You're going to return that?
Chrome browser, just for those of you who like to be particular.
Okay.
So anytime that I want a Chrome browser, I should get.
Return browser. Okay.
So all I have to do is use the decorator fixture.
Okay.
And if I leave it alone here, then it will automatically scope it to, well, we haven't talked about that. It will scope it to the function, meaning any function that calls this, within that function, you're just going to get the same object back. So that's not going to make sense to you. Just hold off on that for just a second. But for now, we will scope it at function, and I'll explain, and I'll show you what that means. So now I get to actually, I did all the work. That's it. All the work is done. So why is this cool? Well, I will show you. So we again, following the rule I gave you, we just made a fixture called Chrome browser in conf test. What does that mean? That means I get Chrome browser anywhere that I want, in any test case that is in that directory or below, and I don't have to import it. That was the promise I gave you. Well, let's prove it.
Okay, in that directory or below.
Say,
okay.
Whoops.
Chrome browser.
Let's go over here. Let's go ahead and do this.
Need to save.
Don't need that anymore. That's one line of code saved.
Okay.
2 lines of code saved. This one's in a class, so I will pop it after the self here. Doesn't matter.
Chrome browser.
Okay. And we have one final test right here. Isn't that just nice? I can just reach out
browser.
and pluck it out of the air. I don't have to import it. I can just say, this is an important thing we're going to use a lot. Just reach out and grab it. And Pytest will go grab it for me.
Okay, Pytest will grab it.
Okay, I think we're ready. That's it. We're done. Let's go ahead and use this fixture.
But you
All
need
those
to
lines of code, I can
save.
say, you know what? I'm running a test case. I just realized I need a Chrome browser. Give me a Chrome browser. That's it. No fuss, no muss. Nothing ever.
Yeah,
Right? That's because I didn't save my file.
not found. You didn't save.
There we are. So I know I got the motor trend one, which means the body test worked. And the reason that this takes so long is because you see it loading down the bottom left. Okay, here comes the engine test.
Yeah.
There we are.
And the last
Here
one.
comes the Series FM test. Okay, good. They all worked, which means I just proved to you that fixtures are kind of cool, right? What did that do? Well, writing tests becomes much quicker, right? I don't have to remember, well, I got to import Selenium, I got to go WebDriver. What if this took a lot of work? What if this took a lot of prep, a lot of setup? Well, in unit test,
Wait. No,
you
he
have
changed.
a function called setup and a function called teardown, and you have to write the same stuff in each module.
Yeah,
No longer. You write it one time right here.
in a
You have to change it,
fixture.
you change it.
Okay, let's try that. Because that seems useful actually. So the rule is I need to go to this folder here, test. You can barely see it, but this test folder, because I need that file that says on the root folder where my tests are or above, basically. So, and what's the name of the file again? It's conf test. Okay, let's try that. I'm going to build. Well, first, let's see what do we have here. Okay, let's add these two. And now I'm going to be inside the test folder, and here test plural or just test? Just test. I need to rename that. Is pi? Yeah, it needs to be pi. Okay. So I'm going to import from Pytest fixture. So that's the first thing. From Pytest fixture. And from Selenium, import WebDriver. Thank you. And I guess something that he didn't explain is that we need the actual WebDriver installed here. I think I have it on my other folder, in another course folder, so I'm going to try to do that. Okay, let's do the code first. Fixture is, we have a decorator function called fixture, and the scope parameter for this decorator is scope equals function. Okay, so let's see. So it's called fixture. There we go. And it's giving me now the recommendations here. Scope equals, and it's waiting for a string. So this is what he did. And now I need to define the Chrome browser function. I think I'm going to simplify this. I'm just going to return the WebDriver itself. Return WebDriver.chrome. I don't think this is going to work because this virtual environment, I don't think it has Selenium installed. I need to install that. And he didn't explain that. So a lot of people is going to be frustrated here.
One time.
So let's try to run it. Oh, wait, but I need to make some changes on my code.
Right here. That's it. Everything else will follow suit. How can I give an example of this? Well, the other thing I want to touch on before we finish here, and actually get down to doing it, is this here. I scoped it at the function level. What that means is when I say I scoped it, what is the scope of this fixture? It works something like this. If I'm in a function and I say, give me a Chrome browser, and I say, okay, Chrome browser.get, blah, blah, blah.
There we go. So that's what I need. So inside the test, let's just pick one. If I go to test one, and I'm going to mark, let's make a new test over here, you know. Let's actually mark it. Web drivers. Let's define this as test. Oh, I don't know. Apple website. Maybe I want to open the open the Apple website, which I don't really know. Is apple.com maybe? Wow, it's been years since I got into this website. There is a new iPhone. Oh my god. Well, there is always a new iPhone. iPhone 13. Oh my god. The last iPhone I got was iPhone 4, and that broke. Not 4S, plain 4, and that phone broke back in 2017. What a time. Technology was way simpler. Chrome browser get. I need to pass Chrome browser as an attribute here. Chrome browser. So I guess that's an attribute. It doesn't mean that I'm importing anything. I'm supposed to be importing this from Pytest itself. So let's see how it works. Okay, so getting, I guess that's okay. Can I make this a little bigger? There we go. Add more space here. There we go. So WebDriver. Chrome browser get. Okay, so Chrome browser. Oh, I got a typo there. Is that how it's? Oh no. Yeah, now that's it. Get, and I need a string with the actual website. There we go. And I'm even marking this. Assert true. I don't think that asserting true everything is going to be a good way to make tests. Yeah, I don't think so. And this is not what I was hoping to learn, but anyway. He's basically teaching me around how to use the library, the Pytest library. I don't think it's a framework, it's more like a library in this case. Or at least he's testing it out as a library anyway.
Well, I will actually, I could actually assign this to something. I could say my browser equals Chrome browser, right? And I would get one. Well, let's say I do it twice. Second browser, there we go, equals Chrome browser. Thinking, oh, they'll just give me another Chrome browser, right? Because hey, we said we made a fixture. It just like a Pytest dispenser, right? No problem. Well, that's not actually true.
No.
Fixture, and one of the reasons why, if you understand this correctly and you use it well, it's very powerful and very efficient, is it has a scope. Meaning, if I say, hey, fixture, you are scoped at the function level. That's the lowest scope you can get in Pytest. That means that I get one per function, which tends to be a test case. We usually have a test case per function. So if I try to do this and I say, well, okay, give me another browser, it's just going to give me the same browser. I can prove that to you, actually. So let me prove it to you real quick. I got a Chrome browser. We called it my browser. Let's get
another website.
The first thing, and then I'm hoping I'm going to get a second browser because I've created a second browser right here, and we'll say second browser gets Amazon.com. So I see these two browsers pop up. I'm going to get rid of this test real quick.
Yeah.
One browser should have Google, one should have Amazon, and the test should finish. All good.
No,
Let's go ahead
it's going to pick one
so you can see this.
only.
Oh, there was Google and there was Amazon. It was just fast. All right. So I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to put a sleep in here so you can actually see what's happening. So we're moving kind of quick here.
Import time. Time.sleep.
Like
5 seconds. Yeah.
One more time. There's Google. We navigate there.
Google. 5 seconds.
Notice same browser.
Amazon.
Not see two browsers. Why? I said my browser is Chrome browser, and then I said second browser is Chrome browser. Why didn't it give me two browsers? That's the scope working. So I want to be very clear. I know this sounds confusing if you're not used to this. It means that I can call this as many times as I want. I can say third browser, 15th browser. After
But it's going to be using the same web browser.
So it actually doesn't even go through all this again. It just keeps returning.
Actually, let me try my thing here because I'm not even sure that this is going to work. Test. This is the fixture. Okay, fixture. Scope function. Def. Chrome browser. I'm just returning Chrome. I wonder if that's going to work. I don't think so. Pytest. I guess I can just write WebDriver. Import error while loading conf test. Let me guess. WebDrivers from Selenium doesn't exist. So I need to install it, right? By pip. No, it's pip3 install Selenium. I already got installation for Selenium on my global machine, but on this particular virtual environment it's not. So I need to install it there, I guess. And now I may like to try again my Pytest. And I got a lot of errors now. Okay, Pytest WebDriver trace. Function is not a valid scope. So this is my mistake. So I got a typo there. Let me see. I need the code again. Function is not typing right. No, scope is valid. Something went wrong. What? Why not? So, okay, so function is unexpected scope. Okay, let's see. Pytest scope fixture. Scope module function class. But I'm doing it the right way, I think. Oh wait, look at this. It says Pytest picture scope model. Maybe I need to look for scope equals function. No example. Scope and model. Although here, I think I'm missing something there. Yeah, he's using just fixture. From Pytest, import fixture scope function. Fixture. And the name of the scope. So what are valid scopes here? Let's look for decorator to mark fixture factory function. This decorator can be used with or without parameters to define a fixture function. Okay. Test modules, classes can use Pytest mark, use fixture name marker. Okay, so what are valid scopes? Parameter scope, the scope for which this feature is shared, one of function default. Oh, that's the default. Oh, I got a typo here. Never mind. So that's that took me a long time. There we go. It's trying to do something else. So I just mark one. Okay, Chrome browser. Get this. Wait driver get missing while requirement position argument the URL. What? No, you're not missing that. Type error. URL. Okay, let's take a look into the test one. Yeah, but he doesn't know that this is a Chrome browser. It's missing a positional parameter. How are you webdriver.get missing one positional parameter? I guess I need to pass the URL and the driver. Because if I recall correctly, on my previous course, let me see, I believe it was in web scraping. No. Beautiful soup. Scripting with Python. No. Web development. No. Automation with Selenium. There we go. So this is what I actually need. I'm going to copy this driver in here. Inside test will be okay. No. On the root. Okay, I just copy the driver. And let's see the code. Here is how I am supposed to instantiate the Chrome browser. WebDriver.Chrome Chrome driver. So I'm going to need this code, and here is the get. There we go. So let's go back to conf test. And I should actually use this. I'm going to return the WebDriver instantiated with Chrome. But I think it's going to fail because it's going to look for the driver on the root directory. So maybe I may like to either move this, where is the driver? This driver is outside the scope of the conf test. So I'm going to move it inside test. So you can actually find that here Let's say everything. And let's try again. I guess in that, there we go. Okay, it's failed again on another place. So I guess we may call that progress, maybe? Yeah, no, I don't think so. Error, test one, test Apple website. Chrome driver, okay. I'm not using Selenium there, but it should not matter. There is a wait driver exception. Let's go up to the top because there we go. One. I didn't run this. Pytest WebDriver. There we go. Now let's look for my command line. Yeah, there is a lot of things here. What the hell is this? So this is Selenium, all of this Selenium code. There we go. So we begin here, and there is an error at setup of this Apple website. Okay, so I'm having an issue here. The setup is failing. So here's the problem, okay? Okay, WebDriver, Chrome. Okay, I might like to maybe create a variable here and return this variable, because it seems like trying to do that in a single step may be causing an issue. I don't think so though. Or maybe I don't need to move the Chrome driver there. Maybe it needs to be on root. Let's try those. Maybe I'm messing things up because I'm running Pytest from the root folder. There we go. So it was a position. Never mind. Okay, fine. So I guess this refactoring is useless. So I'm going to cut this, going to put it directly here and remove all that. There we go. That should work. And I can see the Apple website running and it's passing the test. But I see a lot of things here. Are these warnings? Unknown Pytest Mark 2. Is this a typo? You can register custom marks. Okay, so that's what he did. That's what I'm getting all of this. There we go. Custom registered marks. Okay, so I guess I'm going to be registering. Let's see, where did he put that file? The name of the file is pytest.ini. Where is pytest.ini with him? Test, conf test, debug load. It's on the same place where conf test is. So basically it's inside test. Yes. It's inside test, conf test. Okay. So let's make it. Inside test, new file. Wait, what's the name again? Oh my god, I already forgot. Pytest.ini. Okay, Pytest. Test or test? Test.ini. Okay. So here are my markers. 1. Huh, interesting. As 1, they select with 1. And I can use this for the other ones. 2, That's really helpful, actually. And here, let me make this font a little bigger so you can actually read it better. Okay. And what else am I using? WebDriver. Okay, so I have this. So automatically, I should not be receiving any of those warnings anymore. There we go. I'm getting warnings anyway. Warning summary. So he didn't care. He's giving me the same warnings. Okay. Just one selected. Yeah, I saw that. Let's see the documentation again. Slow. Markers. I guess I can use this notation here. I wonder how is he doing this file? Slow. Marks test as slow. Is this another entry? Or in your project too? Okay. Oh, serial is another entry. Okay, so that's working fine. So this should work. This should work just fine. So 2 is not going to be recognized. Maybe I'm getting a typo here again. So I should probably try to... Okay, I am here on the middle. I'm going to look for this file over here. Okay, he's doing it just like me. This way. Smoke, body. And seems to be a valid. Yeah, that's how I'm doing it. Okay. Wait, maybe markers equals, yeah, I think that's how I'm doing it. Markers equals 1. Oh, wait, I'm getting a typo here. That's what happened. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I was getting a typo there. There we go. And we are not getting warnings. Yeah, we're getting warnings. Why? Maybe I can try deselecting this. Okay. Getting warnings anyway from test by line 5, I think. Oh, no marking. Why? Mark 2, is this a typo? No. Mark 1 is a typo? No. Neither of those are typos. Deprecation warning. Yeah, this comes from Selenium. Yeah. I guess I should look into that later. How to actually use that. Running Pytest now produce this output. Okay, so that's how we generate warnings. Okay, this is useful, but I'm getting warnings because this is not working properly. Maybe I should web test. No. WebD. Let's rename this as WebD. No. WebD DVR as in driver. And obviously I need to go back to my test. And you are going to be wet DVR. And now wet DVR. But now I not yet. Maybe I forgot to save. Yes. Okay, that's fine. After the driver finishes, it passes the test, but I'm getting these warnings. And I don't understand why. I already registered these marks. 2 and 1. I don't know why it's keep bugging me. Maybe Pytest ini is not on the right place. It's on the same level as conf test. Maybe Pytest ini needs to be on the root. Let's try that. Let's try that. Let's get into the test folder. And now let's try it. There we go. We are getting errors now. Because since I'm running inside, yeah, now Selenium, the driver is out of place now because I changed folders. Maybe if I move this Pytest into the root folder of the project. There we go. Pytest ini is on the root of the project folder. There it is. Pytest ini. Oh, wait. Okay. Let's try to run the Pytest. And now that was it. Okay, so I'm getting another warning regarding deprecation from Selenium, but that's another thing that I haven't solved from my previous course anyway. I guess there must be a new way to use Chrome drivers now. But yeah, I'm getting a warning from Selenium, so that has nothing to do. But okay, so if I'm going to be running test with custom with this, I guess in order to keep my everything clean, I should move my driver and my Pytest file inside the test folder. That's going to be the first thing. And now I need to change where I'm running the test. I should run the test from the test folder, which is stupid. And I don't think it's a good idea. Let's go back a little bit. Because now I'm not going to be able to run the test because I move away from where everything is. So in Pytest ini, that's okay. No, it's not okay. Well, if I get inside the test folder, now I can run the test. Yeah, finally. I guess that's the way to go anyway. Get inside the test folder and run my test from there. Maybe that's the way to go. Because having the Chrome driver accessible from outside the test folder will be useful only in cases where I am actually building a bot to browse the web. Maybe I am building an automation testing bot in order to click on my website a lot of times. Maybe that way. But anyway, I'm getting the Apple website loaded. Well, it's okay here. Yeah, I guess I'm going to continue like this because I'm losing time. I'm wasting my time. And the video just hang. Perfect.
Level. What that means is when I say I scoped it, what is the scope of this fixture? It works something like this. If I'm in a function and I say, give me a Chrome browser, Chrome browser.get, blah, blah, blah. Well, I will actually, I could actually assign this to something. I could say, my browser equals Chrome browser, right? And I would get one. Well, let's say I do it twice. Second browser, there we go, equals Chrome browser. Thinking, oh, they'll just give me another Chrome browser. Right?
I already watched that.
It just dispenses Chrome browsers like a Pytest dispenser, right? No problem. Well, that's not actually true. One of the other features of it.
Yeah, I already saw that.
Modules or functions you've got, that's all you get.
Wait,
by the way,
a little bit.
Browser, it just gives me the same place in memory, the same web driver. So it actually doesn't even go through all this again. It just keeps returning the same one. So that's why I'm getting the same browser each time. I can't go any lower than function. So if I want multiple browsers in here, which is, if you really have to, you can just use Selenium. But the reason the fixture is efficient is because it basically gives me the same object no matter how many times I call it. Well, that's great, but let's say I want all my tests to run in the same browser. So let's get rid of this. Let's go back to our regular test that we had before, right, which was our Art of Manliness, our car tests. But I didn't want to open 3 browsers like we did before. I want them all to run in one browser. Well, that's a great example of scoping. So I go over here and I say, well, let's not scope this at function. Let us scope this at session, meaning you get one browser for the entire test session. Doesn't matter how many modules or functions you've got, that's all you get. By the way, function, module, and session are your options for scoping. Actually, it might be class. I'll pull that up. But essentially, I made one change. That was it. I changed the scope. I didn't change any other tests. They're all the same.
Okay.
When I run this, they will run in how many browsers? 3, 1, 2? They should do one.
Just one for the entire test suite.
Okay, there's the engine test. Again, it's kind of slow because this site is slow and it loads a bunch of junk down here on the bottom left. There we are. Oh, I didn't save it. Okay. I only ran the engine test. So close to perfection. So close. Let's run the UI test. It still ran in one browser though, so that counts. Okay, there's our body test. So what I expect is that the same browser should now pop over to engine. There we are.
Okay.
Same exact browser. You can tell because down here we only have one browser. So the same browser handled all 3 tests. We scoped it at the session level. We only got one browser per session. So just to illustrate this one more time, because I know this sounds like a dead horse, but this is confusing stuff. So function. I'll run it one more time. We should get 3 browsers. Each test function gets its own object. One and only one object per test function. Remember, I can't squeeze 2 out of a single function. I only get 1. So there's one browser down here. Now if it closes, then it's obviously going to look like it's the same browser, but it's not. Okay, so it closed. So that's one browser. Here's a second one. Okay, so good. This is still a separate browser. Let's watch closely down here where my mouse is. Oh, that one hadn't closed yet, so this one's going. There we are. Okay, this one's finally going to finish. Art of Manliness is apparently not an efficient site. It's written very poorly. Okay, so are we clear here? What does the fixture give us the power to do? I mean, we're going to go into advanced fixtures later, but you can use it for all sorts of great things. Really, when I get down to test time, just give me the thing I want. Do all the setup for me. Do it all in one place. So I can change it in one place, remove it in one place, and I never have to import it. I just have to say, hey, give it to me. As long as that conf test resides at the top of the tree, somewhere where I can access it. So my test case is here in tests, or conf test is at, okay, this is at root. So anything here or below, really conf test should be in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and move it. It'll still work. So anything in this directory or in sports car or in body, anything down here, all of these can access this fixture, as I just proved. So the great part about functions as well, and I'll just show you briefly because I know we've been going for a bit here and you want to get your hands dirty, is that not only does it do all your setup, but a fixture can handle its own teardown. And you say how? Well, you don't have to remember this right now because we're gonna practice in a minute. You use what's called, it used to be called a yield function. Now you can just yield inside the function and it'll do the same thing. All that means is it will still return that browser, but when we're done with the browser and we don't need it anymore, anything after that yield line becomes teardown code. To prove it, okay, I'm tearing down this browser. So if I have this
yield browser,
I should see it 3 times. I'm bringing up 3 Chrome drivers for 3 different tests, and I am tearing it down 3 times. So let's see if that's the case. I'm going to put a -s in here, because if I don't, then it's not going to print anything. That's something I don't think I mentioned yet. If Pytest assumes if everything goes well, that you don't want to see anything. So it won't show you your prints, it won't show anything. If the test fails, you will get your prints. But we want it to show us what's called the standard out. That just means everything that goes to your terminal, your command line. We want it to show us that whether it passes or fails. So we do a -s, which means, hey, don't capture my standard out, just show it to me. So again, that's a long way of saying -s will make sure you see your prints. I promise you're going to forget this. You're going to wonder why you can't see your prints. So I'm going to pound right now and say, if you can't see your prints, just put a -s on your run. Okay, so we get one browser, we should get another one. I know we've gone through this a bunch of times. It's better that we get you sick of this now, but you understand it. Then
you should try Google.
And then we get to our next lecture and you have no clue what we're doing. So Motor Trend is taking its nice sweet time. Another site that has to load way too many things. I promise I'm not on dial-up. There's Art of Manliness, the one that takes the longest. We'll go ahead and let that sit there. We should see, there we go, the serious page pop up. Okay, and we are done.
Okay.
And did we see all that we expected? So I'm tearing down this browser, I'm tearing down this browser, I'm tearing down this browser. Great. This ran 3 times and it performed the teardown after the test was done. I can tell because remember my little pass mark, the test passed, this little dot? You can barely see it here. It's so hard to see. But we did actually get that. So before I'm going to end this right here. But just to annoy you and make sure that you remember this if I switch this open to session. Okay, so I'm going to run it one final time, and let's see if you can guess correctly when I set up the session how many times I should see this at the end. And I'm going to run it with verbose here so that you don't have to see the little dot. So we will.
I guess one
I want to show me
for
and I want it to run verbose.
for the entire test suite.
Okay, there we go again with our body test.
Uh-huh.
How many browsers should I use in this one? Oh, same browser. So it looks like if you said one browser, then you're on
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, we have 3 passes. 1, 2, 3. And how many times did I see I'm tearing down this browser? It's
I
almost
don't see it.
one time.
One time. Where is it?
So there we are. I'm going to end it right here. To read
I am tearing down this browser.
It's called Conf Test. It makes it accessible to everyone. All the tests.
If I do session, okay, let's try that for just to. Okay, so. Okay. It says that I have a typo somewhere. I wonder where. Let's try to run this. There we go. Yeah. Why is that? Oh, I deleted the. No, this is a mixture. Oh, because this doesn't have to be here. It needs to be here because it's a decorator. And I need to actually put that down here. Okay, I put some comments there so I know what's this about. If I do, the only way I can see that is I need to add -s, oh wait, -s at the end. So I can see the output. But instead of returning, I need to yield. And with yield, I'm not going to stop here. So I'm going to be able to print tear down. Just that. It's going to yield, and then it's going to print out tear down. Tear down. Okay. Let's try again. It's going to run the app. And what is tear down? Yield, WebDriver. Executable path has been deprecated. Please pass in a service object, another deprecation. But I can see my message here. So maybe if I chose on test one, web driver, maybe I can mark you with one. You know, mark.1. There we go. So now this function is going to run as one. Okay, so I can do this. Instead of web dbr, I'm going to say one, and I'm going to be able to see how many tests print teardown. Okay, let's see some of those. Okay, teardown was printed once. I wonder if I can, I guess it's going to be easier if I just say true. And I believe in Pytest true, true. Yeah, I'm not learning assertions here. That was a subject I hope to learn. Okay, so teardown is executing only once up there. Teardown. So why is that? How is this cron driver now? Pytest ini? Not needed anymore. Teardown. Let's see how is he yielding. Yield, browser, and then print. I am tearing down this browser. Okay. Yield, what driver? Cron driver. Yeah. There is one here. I was hoping to see several messages, but I just looking at one. Oh wait, the need to go back here. Let's see. Let's try session. There we go. That's weird. It's showing it just once at the very end. Yeah, that's weird. And if we run the other one, it's showing it here once. Maybe I need to be verbose. There we go. Well, it's showing it just for the session here or for the function. Oh no, no, it's okay because teardown is only going to happen for whoever is getting this fixture, this specific. I only have one function making use of this, unless I make use of that several times, just as he's doing. Let's try Google maybe. In this case, I should have just one. I think I am still on session. Okay, teardown just happens once. I think I need more functions like this. Maybe. Let's see, config test is for function. I only seen it once. Okay. Because just one test is actually making use of that. But if I take this, or just let's copy the entire one. Let's say Google. No. Okay, I'll be right back. Yeah, Well, I'm going to be right back in a little while. I'm going to get something to eat and I'm going to be back to finish this course. Thank you for listening. You indeed are.